Good morning, everybody. Wow, we're filling up quick. Awesome. Thanks for being here, everybody. My name's John. I'll be one of your hosts today. Hey, Bugsy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. I just had to change a
Thomas, you there?
clutch on my
yeah.
father's van, and I just
Awesome.
finished,
Good morning, man.
Charging up a backup phone in case my connection gets rugged.
Right on. Yeah, that's all. I've got my phone just like plugged in, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes Spaces just chooses to rug anyways.
Dude, I got some advice from someone about that. One is like, depending on how strong your Wi-Fi is, you might want to do that. And the other one is don't use low power mode on your phone because that doesn't help either.
Truth. I'm straight up about to start a VM and just throw Android on it.
Hello, good afternoon, guys. How you doing today?
Hey, Shannon.
Hey.
We can hear you loud and clear. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hey,
Good morning.
Shannon.
Wag me.
Morning. I've been having problems with. I'm glad you kind of mentioned it with spaces the last couple days. I've just been getting dropped in the middle of sentences, so I'm expecting that to carry over today in case I just disappear and go off into the ether.
Don't worry, Shannon. No one's going to rug you here.
Right on. Yeah, I know. If just so everybody is as the room is filling up here, just so you're aware, if we do get rugged at any point, we'll come right back. Even if we're close to ending, we want a proper ending with you all. We want to provide as much value to all of the listeners here, all the participants. So we will come back and restart the room and then close it off properly when we come to that point. But just wanted to say good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name's John. I'm talking to y'all from Austin, Texas, here in the middle of the United States. I've been in the NFT space since May pretty heavily. I started to interact with Crypto Jesus at that point pretty early on. And, kind of just once he pitched the idea of his project, I was on board. So I am a member of the Solon Finance Discord and a big supporter of the project. We can talk about that later. But I just wanted to tell you all who I am and how I know these crazy cats. If you all could give the space a share, please tweet it out and let's just fill the space up. I'm really excited for this conversation. It's going to get nutty, and we're going to do our best to keep it orderly, to keep it controlled. We are open for questions. If you want to come up, if you have questions for our guests here up on the panel, we'd like to hear them. Let's just keep them on subject. If you have something to shill, it'd be great if it had something to do with what we're talking about. And please don't post anything to the top of the space until you've told us what you're posting. That would be appreciated. We've got a group of really smart people up here, so you're not going to hear me saying too much after the intro here, because I am not one of them. I'm here just like a lot of you. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to evolve, because that's what we're doing daily in this space. This type of the Twitter Spaces is just freaking amazing. As a lot of you know, it's not perfect, but it's a great space to learn things, to share unique ideas. And we are literally building the crypto, DeFi, and NFT space moment by moment as we all interact with one another. If you do come up to the stage, please don't lurk. If you have something to say, we'd like you to say it. I imagine we're going to get a lot of requests for speaking today. So just know that there's going to be probably a large queue of people waiting to say something. So if you got something to say, come on up, say it. If not, please don't have hurt feelings if we step you down to listener, because like I said, there will be a lot of requests. I'd also like to ask that nobody talk over anybody. We want it to be just an orderly, well understood conversation. If things get heated, if it gets nutty, I may have to mute people or mute the whole conversation. I will do it, but maybe I won't have to do that. So just don't talk over anybody. Raise your hand if you have something to say. If you're not sure how to do that, DM me and I'll tell you how. But other than that, I just wanted to also say, take notes. Have a little piece of paper. Have your notepad out. It's a good way to formulate your questions and formulate your thoughts and ideas moving forward. With all that said, I will toss it over to Bugsy.
Thanks, John. How's it going, everyone? CJ, Shannon, Thomas, Warrior, Darren, Cryptonautics, Ninja, Don't Hate. Who else we got? Crypto Holder. Hey, we're gonna get him up here at some point, John. Let him read something for us that he posted earlier. So the purpose of this space is we had a space maybe last week, and we had Shannon in there, and he's a candidate for a political. Does everyone know? Are you doxed, Shannon?
Yeah, I'm completely doxxed. Just to let everyone know, I'm a candidate for the U.S. Senate in the state of North Carolina. I have a cybersecurity focus on this next election, and along with that comes the crypto, not just the cryptocurrency space, but blockchain in general. Go ahead, bud.
Thank you. Also, we have another candidate up here for a local spot who is undoxed, and we're not going to take that any further. But the purpose of this space is to really just talk DeFi and show some support to these two gentlemen, and also Crypto Jesus and Thomas, who are well known in the space or in the community for what they do in DeFi and development. So we want to really kind of talk about politics without crossing the line, but talk about how we can get these guys into a spot where they can help explain crypto to, I don't know, the House, the Senate, local governments. I mean, we need a voice in there, and that's why we're here. We want to support these people. We want to talk about it, and we'll go through. And John, how do you want to do it? You want to go through and let each one kind of give a background?
Yeah, I think. Sorry, my mic was tripping. Yeah, I think that's a great way to start. I mean, let's just start with you, CJ. Man, let it rip.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. So, I have been in this. Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to everyone. Thanks, John and Bugsy, for hosting and putting this together. Shannon, Thomas, Warrior, thank you guys for taking the time to be here. Ninja, Don't Hate, Bully, everyone, the whole fam in the crowd. Thank you for pulling out. I appreciate you all. But I guess my quick background is I got Bitcoin first in 2013, but I've been actually in this space since 2016. In 2016, I started a cryptocurrency mining company. And then I worked on that for a while. I worked on some hardware for making sure cores didn't drop out on ASIC mining units because heat was a huge problem, and then just more mining efficiency software related things. Then I stepped away from blockchain in the beginning of 2020, started doing some research on DeFi protocols. And after I did a decent number of research, then I started to actually learn the ins and outs, the mechanics, the software side, and then I started doing some consulting work for some DeFi protocols and cryptocurrencies. And I kind of came in as a third party to help them find value for their cryptocurrencies, where to generate protocol fees, and how to make their ecosystems more innovative. And then since February of 2021, I've been working full time on Solon, and that brings me to where I am now.
Awesome. Thanks, CJ. Thomas.
Oh, snap. Hey, guys. So I'm Thomas. A lot of you guys know me. I go by Papa on the internet. Been a developer for 15 years in crypto since Bitcoin was 30 cents. I believe it was like late 2010. I've worked on dozens of dApps. A lot of people are familiar with my history there. It's no point. I'll post up my LinkedIn later, I guess. But dude, enthusiasm. I love the space. I guess shout out to everybody here on the board or on the panel. I just here. I'm glad to be here with you guys. We're going to be educating not only people in the community, but also people who are willing to step up and take office. It's so important for us to be looking at legislation in the future, such that it's, we hear a lot of things like, we're not going to ban it. but it's being legislated into a corner. So I'm very happy to be taking part of this today. It's like one of the first of many discussions, I'm sure, that will crop up about DeFi, how it should be handled, treated, decentralized governance. A lot of these talks I've seen where people are discussing the states and decentralized governance between the states. And that's how, America was propped up. So in the spirit of freedom and what it truly means, like I'm happy to be here with you guys. And that's the end of my rant. Love you guys.
Thanks, Papa. We love you too. Warrior.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity. So I always like to start my story in the beginning. Grew up very poor, large Puerto Rican family, father that I love and is certainly my best friend, but one that struggled with addiction and other things. And all of that, observing it as a child, really informed me of what we could say is the struggle. So from experiencing it to observing it, it all led to a lot of questions and a big chip on the shoulder. I used that chip and went on to become a medical doctor, focused on trying to kind of utilize that skill set to address suffering in a more direct way. But you see how these entire systems are designed, these for-profit systems are designed to favor profit over people. And, fundamentally that gave me an understanding of how every other system and institution operates, including government. At some point in time of the many inflection points I had, for me, it was clear that participating in the political process was important, and also doing so in a way where the focus is really about giving power back to the people. And so from a value standpoint, that's where, for me, my journey began, and that's where it's going to continue to move forward. Participated in activism, organizing, and politics for several years now, and my focus in understanding representative government is really in trying to build out a framework or dismantle the current framework and rebuild it in such a way where power is decentralized, equally distributed amongst the people, and where we can have the purest form of representative government, even if it's based on smart contracts, right? If we're talking futurism here. So happy to be here. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I would love to share my perspective on a number of issues I'm sure we'll discuss. But at the end of the day, that's who I am. That's where I'm coming from. That's what I believe in. That's why I believe it. Thank you.
Thank you, Warrior. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Just a heads up to the room. Crypto Jesus is going to be running a little giveaway at 2 Eastern. So if you're here for that, just be aware. It's going to be dope. I'm going to just toss it to you, Shannon. I was texting this morning with CJ and Bugsy, and CJ shared an artwork, and I had a comment on it, and so I've been thinking about it all morning. This is kind of a broad question, and forgive me if it's too broad, but to you, do you see a decentralized future as being a capitalist future or a purely free market future? Does that make sense?
It does. And thanks for the question. And on that, I think it's going to be more on the free market, at least in the long future. I think originally it might be kind of based off capitalism, whereas the Republicans come a little bit more knowledgeable in the light. And just to let me reset on me real quick. I am a political candidate, but I can care less what party you're with. I come from one perspective, and it is on personal freedom and the freedom of choice. By and large, while we're talking about the DeFi experience, I want to start guiding the country down the DeGov experience. So the same thing we're talking about with in the DeFi space, I want you guys to start thinking about how blockchain can improve your government space. And let's take it like government funding, right? In the United States, government funding for the DoD is a huge part of our deficit. And we don't know where that money goes, right? There's pallets of money airdropped with millions of dollars on it into deserts of foreign countries, and yet the IRS is going to come nickel and dime you and throw you in jail for just a bill of just thousands. I'm an anti-war vet. I've served in a couple wars, both as a combat vet and also on behalf of the federal government and the State Department, DoD, and whatnot. And I've seen the federal funding side of things, and I knew about Space Force before it even reached the lips of Fox News. And to be honest with you, I thought that shit was going to be turned down because Republicans don't typically, build billion-dollar programs just to stifle off tax money. But I derail there. One of the things that I particularly want to focus on today, and I'm so glad so many people have kind of showed up, is, what are the benefits of the DeFi space? How can we get our leaders involved? And one thing I kind of wanted to back up is I'm not just a politician running for office. I also have a master's degree in cybersecurity. I'm a computer science major. I'm working on a PhD in computer science. And one of my ultimate goals is to, for my PhD dissertation, is to find a way to have a secure, transparent election system while still keeping PII important, right? So that your neighbor doesn't get mad at you for voting the wrong way. And it's not just in the election cycle, though. I would like to see, the openness of what the blockchain has to offer, the transparency of it throughout all of our government systems. And I also want to kind of mention before we get too far into the weeds on this, there's a lot of things that I'll be talking about today that are hypothetical. While policies are I know exactly which way I'm going to go. There's a lot of smart people in this room that I respect. CJ being one of them, Bugsy, Warrior, I've spent some time with, so there, everyone up here is extremely important to the cryptocurrency market. And this conversation and your questions are going to help me mold how I'm going to either attack a stifling on the cryptocurrency market, or help how to identify the people that are going to help us. So if you may not like something I happen to say today, like I might say, hey, I'm looking at doing secure voting on NFTs. And if you think there's a better way, I'm all open. The one thing that I will not change my mind on is your personal freedom, your personal security, your personal choice, and also your right for transparency. Those are the things that I do not bend on. But how we get there and how we present the information, not only am I looking at this panel, but I'm looking at the people that we're representing at this panel to help get us there. And I hope I answered that question. I kind of threw some more extra stuff in there because I kind of wanted people to know where I was coming from. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or any of the other parties out there. What I do care about is that you're forward thinking enough to start looking for representatives that aren't going to stifle our market. Most of us in this room right now are pioneers, right? We're so early on. We're less than 10% adoption inside the United States. But by the time we get to 30, 40, 50% adoption through the US, we got to have this stuff figured out, right? We're going to have to know who our crypto friends are versus who they're not. We are setting the path in the United States in the 2020 election for nations all across the world. And I know this because I've sat in spaces with people from Europe, with people from India, with people from Brazil. We've talked about various currencies and stuff. And so today's not about any particular currency. It's about all of them. The power of the blockchain, at least in my mind. And one of the things that Crypto Jesus, I don't typically call him anything but CJ. has got a brilliant mind, and I just want you guys to know that this isn't an authoritative speech on my side. This is research. And I'm going to turn it back over because I've been babbling for a minute.
Thanks, Shannon, and obviously thank you for your service to our country. And something Shannon said stuck with me. Like, if you come into these spaces with the idea that your mind is not going to be changed or challenged, you're doing it wrong. Please try to keep an open mind, and let's all learn and grow together. Bugsy, what's up, sir?
Thanks, guys, for having all your intros there. I really appreciate all you being here again. It's a big deal. I saw an opportunity to get some of the most brilliant minds together here, and this is also a big deal for me to have Ben here. Thanks for coming, Ben. I've been trying to get Ben and Thomas to get a little closer also, because those are two of the smartest devs that I know to exist personally. So to have them together in the same space finally is a big deal. Thank you, Ben, for coming. Anybody that comes up, please use the hand. Put your hand up if you want to speak. Even if someone's speaking and you want to respond to them, don't just hot mic it. Just throw your hand up so everyone knows that you're about to do that. So that way we don't get into a pickle and start listening to everyone spew from the mouth. So thank you. Carry on, guys.
So a lot of people don't know who Ben is. So Ben, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. Yeah, I'm the developer for Solon. I've been doing most of the smart contracts, and I made the website and everything, and also I made the NFTs.
So Thomas, Ben's actually working on that node right now.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's great to have everyone here. I think going back to the whole governance thing, I think Shannon makes a really great point, although I don't think NFTs are necessarily the proper way to do that at the moment. There are a lot of different routes you can take, and obviously that's one of the reasons why Shannon is here right now, right? He's trying to explore whatever makes the most amount of sense for integrating a system like this, as well as how to structure a system like this. And we can look at a lot of like DAOs today, decentralized autonomous organizations that exist in the current like cryptocurrency and DeFi world as cool models. But the American government, when it was initially set up, we had state governments to kind of decentralize power, right? You know, that was the whole point of in this creation process in the first place. We didn't want anything to be too centralized because we didn't want a system like the monarchy ever again. But we've come to terms where at the time that was a great system, and it was the most, probably the most decentralized system in the world. Now technology has advanced quite a bit in the past 300 years, and that's people are no longer not educated. People are no longer not informed. People can read now. You know, a huge problem why a lot of state legislative systems exist is people need representatives to vote for them because a lot of people can read. A lot of people didn't have access to information on political candidates, right? But now we have television, we have the internet, we have all these different forms of communication. So it opens a lot of room and a lot of questioning to who do we really need to vote on our behalf? And should that be our decision as individuals if we want our vote to count directly as our own vote, or if we want to assign a delegate to vote on our behalf? And you see this in systems like ENS, Ethereum naming service, which just did an airdrop recently and had their DAO. And you had the option in the ENS DAO to either pick a delegate, which could vote on your behalf, or you could hold your voting power and vote on your own behalf. So I think this is going to be a structure we see implemented, whether it's going to be one DAO for the overarching government, and then we'll have like a DAO for every state, and then those DAOs will elect the local DAOs to manage every town, and then those local DAOs will pick individuals to vote, etc. But we're really just scratching at the surface. It's going to be extremely complicated, and it's just super cool to be here.
Yes, Thomas.
Hey, kind of following up on what we were saying there. Satoshi set forward in the white paper in the Bitcoin abstract the not only the double spending problem, but a solution to it. Right now, with what we're trying to discover and kind of how we're standing on the shoulders of giants always, like when we were children, we learn about Plato and we learn about gravity, we learn about finance, we learn about life in a way that these giants propped up for us. And these, monarchies and these systems of governance from before are now being innovated on with the blockchain. So now the real question is it's not how to stop the double spending problem, it's how to stop the double voting problem. It's very interesting stuff. So with regard to NFTs and tokens, I think, the governance systems of today with regard to crypto will be the governance systems of tomorrow in people governance, just governance of whole countries, things like that. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Bugsy.
John, do we want to push some people to try to maybe like and retweet your post of this link? Is that what we're going to use, by the way, for the future here?
The link. I'm sorry. The link to what, sir?
The link to this space.
Oh yeah, please.
Do you want
everybody.
Do you want to do it that way though for what we're doing later?
Oh, CJ's going to run that. I think he has a plan.
So just so we can kind of let everyone know to stick around for a certain reason, but then we can get picked based on that, who likes and retweets a certain post.
I'm just going to create a post for the giveaway itself.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. I've been thinking about how DeFi and crypto principles can make their way into government, and CJ has some information that it already has to a certain extent. But if we're talking about the type of broad adoption where it's like DAOs voting for political candidates and so on and so forth, when I think about blockchain technology and crypto getting into government, obviously I see it beginning in the free market and government adopting the things that work. And personally, I think one of the major areas that we can all see and feel, at least certainly here in the United States, is the supply chain issues. If government saw the supply chain being figured out by the free market, it might want to use it for all their programs, all their technologies, all their equipment being shipped all over the world. It might be a fine way for it to be implemented. What do you think, CJ?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly expect the U.S. government to create their own blockchain at some point in time, and their level of centralization is going to be completely up to them if they create and deploy their own blockchain. Whether that's a progressive idea or not, I mean, it's progressive in the sense of adopting cryptocurrency, but not in the sense of decentralization, right? Because the fact is, just by having a blockchain, just by investing in cryptocurrency or creating a certain cryptocurrency doesn't make it decentralized. And that's a huge problem and implication that people have to take the time to understand in the space. Decentralization is a metric of who controls the power and how well distributed is that power. The U.S. government has already created their own cryptocurrency. They have yet just to tell the public about it, right? They created their own cryptocurrency so they could save billions of dollars in a year in wire transfer fees. It's only sensible, right? That's billions of dollars in taxes saved that they could use for something else. So, eventually I would honestly see them even implementing their own blockchain. And the first thing they'd probably use it for is supply metrics for weapons, for the military, for military supply routing and everything. Because at the end of the day, the United States is the world's largest arms dealer, which is another crazy thing to keep in mind. But it's part of what makes us so powerful and what makes us so influential and what generates somewhat of our outside revenue and wealth.
Pita bread, yes, sir.
Hey, GM, everybody. How y'all doing?
GM.
Okay. We're talking about just crypto in general and cybersecurity, and unfortunately, Shannon is not in the room as I can see him. I'd love some thoughts on that because I'm doing a lot of background work trying to find cybersecurity experts and introducing them into the NFT market in particular. They're usually very savvy on the crypto market. It's just the NFT market isn't something they focus on up front. I'd love to hear some thoughts on that. Thank you.
Shannon, if you heard that, you're welcome to respond.
I did. And one of the things that, and you're right, from a cybersecurity perspective, I really haven't looked at NFTs a whole lot. Because I look at, and this could change something in my mind of what I'm thinking about the future, like NFTs for voting and stuff.
Might have lost you there, Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon got rugged.
Shannon's having rug issues. Something that CJ said that y'all might have perked your ears up. He actually has some under the radar knowledge that yes, the U.S. government has created its own cryptocurrency. It has not obviously talked about it or rolled it out, but it is there.
Well, the U.S. government has also announced in its 2022 appropriation bill that it considers cryptocurrencies as an asset for warfighting functions. Under freaking I forget which part of warfighting functions it falls, but it falls under cyber, I believe.
Yeah, and that Peter Brett, what that means is they can send their cryptocurrency to nations that are maybe struggling with civil war or other conflicts, or to the Kurds or whoever else they want as support. And to them, hey, we're not sending our fiat US dollars, which we have to bundle and then ship on a fucking plane, and God only knows what's going to happen to it and who's going to collect the tax along the way. Instead, boom, we're wiring you internet money that is just as good as the US dollar.
Morgan, see your hand there.
Oh, okay. My comment isn't in response to the current topic, so I can wait until my turn if needed.
You can go ahead. It's fine. It's an open conversation.
Okay, awesome. I've had the opportunity to talk to CJ and Thomas about some of my ideas in these spaces, and in regards to government, I believe that there are a lot of backdoors into getting into bringing the blockchain to the government. And part of that, one backdoor I believe is, sorry, I'm just gathering my thoughts. Basically, if we can ramp up incorporating the blockchain into biofeedback, I think it can really gain a lot of trust of everyone, because NASA astronauts use biofeedback to strengthen their brain capacity, and this can help with what is that? Dementia, Alzheimer's. I have epilepsy. It can help with that. It can help with a lot of mental strain that people go through that creates, depression, all that stuff. And if we can show everyone around the world, especially America, the quality of life benefits to incorporating the blockchain into a daily usage, then I think it can really speed up and bring a relationship together that much faster.
Now, Thomas, I want to throw it to you, and because Morgan said that y'all have talked about this, how would you, as a dev, create something that I'm trying to say processes the data from biofeedback?
Well, I mean, you can gather a lot of information just from the projected jiggle of a phone. So you can record over time people's reactions to things in an interface, and you can change your experience or just how you navigate those things. So as far from biofeedback, there's an organization that I'm working with that takes some biofeedback into account to try to determine your current mental state, and it changes the conversation that you have with your interface. So these are really great things. These are happening right now, and even with authentication, like biometrics, we're seeing alternative or like beyond just 2FA. You've got a 2FA plus your thumbprint, and, maybe your facial structure, stuff like that, all put together.
Hey, Thomas, you had your hand up before. What were you going to say before that whole topic of conversation happened?
Right, yeah. So I was going to bring up XRP. International bank remittances are so easy with XRP because, and this is like a product that works between banks internationally. Being able to transmit that money from place to place, for them, it's not permissionless, right? They've got permission to do it as a bank. But for the end user in Bitcoin, things like this, I think the reason why government would get behind cryptocurrency because it's so easy to send. And I was going to back up your point that, you know, instead of just airdropping money into a place for it to be misused and things like that, you know, there is a ledger of those transactions that happened afterwards. You can call out that and verify that the funds that were sent are being used for a specific purpose. And, you know, like the big benefit of the blockchain that, you know, is the transparency, despite people thinking that it's, you know, that there's a huge misconception just because it's pseudonymous that it is anonymous. It's not true at all. The blockchain is amazing because you have this ledger of things that happen, right, immutably. And that can lend to, like, if the goal is to reduce corruption, you do it by design. And hopefully we'll see whatever comes out from USG will be, you know, kind of keeping that in mind. Like, this can be used for a benefit and not hold people down and lift people up. And part of that is the transparency. Yeah.
I think Shannon was next. Shannon, you there? You getting rugged still? Oh, I guess Twitter doesn't want Shannon to run for office. Yeah, he got rugged. Here, I'm bringing you back up, Shannon. But in the meantime, Warrior, what's up? How you doing?
Doing good. You know, I was just listening. I wanted to make a point about this, you know, by design, as Thomas mentioned. Like, how do we improve the design using blockchain technology? And I kind of want to start from like where I'm coming from. So I have been and am a candidate for office as well. I do lean on more, I would say, a progressive bend with a sprinkle of libertarianism. You know, I think at the end of the day, when I say progressive, for me, it's like live and let live, and recognize that there have been communities that have been marginalized economically for centuries in this country, and frankly, for thousands of years, and since human beings have been in existence. And when I look at marginalized communities, you know, I do want to say that, you know, I think that there is a path to having a world where we are on relative equal footing, and people can live, and no one has to worry about being homeless and all that good, you know, stuff. But, you know, there's a path to get there. So from my perspective, I just want to be 100% here. I think that if social safety nets actually did if they actually accomplished the mission that they had been on, which is to springboard people out of poverty, then it would be great. But instead, they serve as fishnets, right, trapping people in cycles of poverty. And when we look at mechanisms in government, that I think if we're talking corruption here, right? Look at the difference between a general fund at the state level and a categorical fund. So you have a policy, you have legislation agreeing that something needs to get done. You have a budget that is formed to allocate funds to a said category, to a said application, right, or area, and then the money's in a general fund. So while you have this agreement, you know, you really don't know how much of that money in the general fund is going to be ultimately dedicated to the mission, because it's pulled with all of these other priorities, versus a categorical fund where if you dedicate money for a specific application and it gets in the categorical fund and you agree on that money, there's rigidity around it. You cannot use it for any other application. So if it's going to healthcare to address kids with asthma, it needs to go to healthcare or address kids with asthma.
Yeah.
And so government has the instruments, but it does not have the proper tools to ensure that there's transparency and complete and like unimmutable agreement, right? That if money is supposed to go somewhere, it gets there. So I just wanted to provide my perspective, my politics, and like how I see instruments in government, like categorical funds that are not being used, but where blockchain could make sure that it becomes a standard.
Yeah, Warrior, I think it's all a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you. I think it goes back to my point before. Like, if the U.S. government's going to send aid to another country, maybe 50% of that cash will actually show up from what they originally sent, right? Because who decides where that money goes? Who decides if this counts as, oh, this is going towards asthma? Sure, it may say that it has to go specifically to a hospital for asthma research, but who decides how to spend that money and what
what exactly is that quote unquote research funding going to? And that's where blockchain changes everything, because you have complete and utter transparency. So if you see some asshole spend, $10,000 on a new fucking chair for ASBA research, you can see his purchase right there on the blockchain, right? And I think that's the difference. You can see everyone take a little bit off the top as it works its way down the chain. Oh, I got to get my salary here. I got to get this funding. It's all bullshit. It is all bullshit. And blockchain is going to change all of that. And that's what people don't realize, right? Because no matter who you are or any of these people in any of these communities anywhere around the world that you mentioned, the fact and the reality is that the people that decide how to manage that money are usually not one of the people in that group. And then two, God only knows if they give a shit. But the reality is, if you're not in the Web3 world, you're still going to hear someone's voice. You're still going to know what they look like. You're still going to know maybe where they live or where they reside or what part of the world they reside in. And that always opens up cases to discrimination. The only way we can possibly remove discrimination is thanks to this space. How do you remove discrimination? Is if all you know about someone, you never hear their voice, you never do anything, is that wallet address. Boom, just another wallet address. Me and you, if we're just another wallet addresses, you never knew me on Twitter or anything, we would, as far as we would know, we wouldn't be any different, right?
That's I'm feeling you, CJ. Just want to say welcome to everybody. My name's John. We're just kind of talking. We have a few candidates for office up here. We have a few brilliant devs, and we're chopping it up. We have a few brilliant traders as well. Bully, I see you, my man. I see Shirley Lowe in the audience. If you'd like to come up, we'd love to have you. Always good to have you in the space. And I'm just going to throw it to you, Bugsy.
Did I have my hand up? No.
It looked
okay.
Maybe you were fist bumping, and I'm misconstrued.
Yeah, I fist bumped it. No, I think Thomas has his hand up for something.
All right, go ahead, Thomas.
Hey there. I was just kind of following up with that. You find this a lot in development where the culture is that of indifference, and mostly on the internet, where communities come together. It's a faceless, backgroundless thing, right? And in crypto, you even have permissionless participation. So this whole community its togetherness is almost in a way fostered because we almost know nothing about each other except about our enthusiasm and our wrinkles, our innovations, things like that. So despite how negative it may sound, that there is this culture of indifference, the protocol doesn't care about our feelings or what we're doing. The protocol is always going to be the protocol. And there's beauty in that, in that you can be sure that the protocol will continue to do what it was set forward to do. And if we can support that, we're always moving in the right direction, I think. Just my 2 cents.
Shannon, I see. Looks like you might have gotten rugged again. Eli, how you doing there?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good. I actually have a couple comments. I understand Warrior and Sean. I'm currently in the military too, and I'm a big supporter. But the main thing, the big problem that I see in DeFi today is lack of knowledge. In going into Senate and things like that, I feel that what we need to do is start educating more people into, like, I understand this is what we're doing, but I feel that this needs to be something more mass adoption into public. Maybe start like YouTube video classes and stuff like that as a mass, because as a community, we are growing very fast, but I don't believe we're growing fast enough. And that's honestly the big issue that I see, because I know I love cryptocurrencies. I follow Thomas or Papa since the beginning of SafeMoon and all, and I believe in him and his genius. But when people talk about crypto, for example, people talk about rug pulls and stuff like that. And the big issue is that we have is, like, if you think about currency of USD, there's no, like, you think of USD and then you think of somebody of like Pablo Escobar, somebody who committed crimes. They did it using fiat currency, not cryptocurrency. But cryptocurrency has been running through like the ground with bad publicity saying like, oh, it can be used for rug pulls or this and that. So I think we need to bring the positive light into basically
So, Eli, I'm going to turn this back on you. And I think a big thing a lot of people got to remember in this space and what's changed a lot over time is back when I was here in 2016 and 2017, if you wanted to learn anything, you were not going to learn it from anyone. They told you to go find it yourself. And I'm sure, Thomas, you remember this very well.
FIO.
Yeah, and you remember this too, Bully. Like, people would be like,
FIO.
yep, find out, just figure it out. And you know
And
what?
T&E. T&E is the worst one, trial and error. Because
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
damn,
Yeah.
I have
So
to do
trial and
error.
error. Great way. You know, we all lost thousands of dollars just doing trial and error, like testing liquidity pools, trying to figure out how shit worked. You Google something, you're not going to get an answer that's anywhere near accurate. It's probably someone's BS bias that isn't even remotely true. And you see that all the time in this industry. And you know what? What we're doing right now is a huge evolutionary step because this, Twitter Spaces, YouTube, all this different access, information like this, being able to connect with people like Thomas right here in this space and Shannon and Warrior and everyone else was not possible. It was not even an option back in 2016, 2017. So I think we have come so far, speaking as someone who's been here for a while. And you know what? We do have to get farther. And every day we come up with new innovations in the space. We come up with better ways to express and represent this knowledge. And you know what? I'm turning this back on you, Eli, because at the end of the day, it's up to us as individuals how we're going to share this knowledge and spread the wealth of the knowledge. Because you know what? A lot of us on this stage, we are innovators, but we chose to become innovators. So at the end of the day, you know, it's up to all of us. Oh, he got dropped down, but I'm bringing him back up. What's up, Shannon? You got kicked. You got bootlegged like 1,000 times. I hope you're back.
Yeah, I'm going to talk as fast as I can because I think I've been dropped 100 times since the last time I taught, which is kind of frustrating, but it doesn't really surprise me. I'm going to go back into the conversation real quick on biofeedback. I love it from a security mechanism, but if that's being captured by social media, that's going to be used against us. So I want people to be careful of biofeedback in general, because that would be the same of me capturing the micro expressions of my wife, and you could probably foresee how bad that goes when I call her on her BS. One of the things I did want to talk about. Oh, and by the way, CJ, you are on the money every time. I can just almost have CJ speak for me because I've never disagreed with anything he said. But so we have another candidate in the panel who says he's progressive. What I would actually like to know as we talk about DeFi politics is what would a progressive tax on crypto look like? And what are his overall, because he's reaching into libertarianism, right? But we're going to have a lot of people like this, and what are your thoughts on cryptocurrency and how can you improve the geopolitical landscape of cryptocurrencies from a democratic point of view? Because you said you were progressive.
Yeah, I mean progressive in terms of social policies and liberation and economic justice being accessible, right, to all. And we could look at legalization of cannabis as one of those arenas where you have states now trying to take control by having limited licenses instead of allowing for municipal cooperatives, right, or just general cooperatives, or just a completely free market approach. But I mean, at a minimum, right, we have states refusing to allow communities that have been criminalized for use of cannabis or possession of cannabis now having to pay $500,000, $1 million for a license. So we have monopolies that are being met by monopsonies. So when I say progressive, it is grassroots progressive. It is what liberation means at the individual level. Now, with that said, we see sharks all around. Do I think that government or law, let's remove government and law for a moment. Do I think that having some protections, even if it is in the code for people that might be targeted by sharks, is important? Yeah. I mean, I will never say that anarchism is the way, or that a lawless land is going to be good for people. I think history shows that that's not the case. So that's the type of progressive I am. And in terms of global reach and how we grow from here and applications around the use of DeFi. You know, I continue to say, and right now I'm in launching a token the next month with a product that's going to be launched by the end of Q1 or beginning of Q2 of next year, which is seeing that there's all these middlemen companies in supply chain, right, in healthcare, in these rigid industries. And frankly, when we look at the increase in expenditures for social welfare programs, much of that money is not, that increase is not going to people. It's going to these middlemen companies, right? These private contractors that are siphoning public funds to pretty much do nothing. So the way I see it is incorporating blockchain technologies with utility tokens, and specifically around the kind of decentralization of power, having those DAOs, having those tokens in the hands of the consumers that are using resources, and then ultimately those consumers governing how any laws might be structured around the industry itself. That is the future. My concern, and Shannon, we've had this conversation before, where we differ right on some ideas is simply that I don't think that human beings have shown over history that there's a general 99% predisposition to just charitable goodwill. And I get libertarianism on that front. I want to live in that world. I want the 7 generations ahead of me, the descendants that we'll have, I want them to exist in that world. But the path there, from my perspective, has to be one that addresses the current inequities, focuses on liberation, but make sure that everybody has access to wealth and a sufficient capital to build their foundation, so that 7 generations from now, we could stand on the same footing and say, absolutely, right? We are going to continue to cooperate in making the planet cleaner, in exploring space, and in all the great things that we're talking about. Anyway, I'm walking down a rabbit hole, but I want everyone to know, like, that's my type of progressive. Are we fighting for the people beside the people at the expense of self-preservation? And are we leveraging blockchain technologies to infiltrate and dismantle the systems which are hierarchical and centralized and not working for the people today?
I'd like for Shannon to respond.
Hey, yeah,
John,
that was an excellent answer, and that's something that I would kind of hope that a lot of the representatives in many of these people's states would be able to answer and articulate. So I thought you did an excellent job on that. Just to follow up, what's your thoughts on the recent bill that became a law and how it affects crypto in 2024?
Can you highlight the bill for everyone?
Oh, yeah. And just to let everyone else know, so
oh man,
no, Shannon,
just shut it all down and come back to us, man. We're sorry this keeps happening to you. Go ahead, CJ. You were going to say something. Go ahead, sir.
Oh no, I was just going to say Shannon asked for me to ask that question in case he got rugged. So I was just going to say that, but then he made it back up. He's coming back up right now. So hopefully you'll be able to highlight that bill. Shannon,
yes, I'm going to talk extremely fast to make sure I can get it done. Yeah, so the bill that went into law a couple of weeks ago had a hook in it to get some of that money from the crypto space. So how they're doing that is they're going to force exchanges to give up a lot more information on its customers, right? So that's going to de-anonymize us as holders. And it's also going to kind of set us up to be taxed much heavier. One of the things that this bill is it doesn't actually go into effect until 2023. So we do have the opportunity to elect representatives in 2022 to kind of correct any of that that's going overboard. But the biggest.
All right, looks like he made it. CJ, can you continue on that?
I was just going to say he got rugged. But I mean, legislation is always going to be extremely important in this space. And something really important to highlight from the last congressional hearing, which was obviously just a hearing and huge, very bullish, is they didn't even get close to addressing NFTs and DAOs and DeFi, right? Because that's not even on their Docker yet. No, it is nowhere near remotely on their Docker yet, right? Because they have to figure out the base things before they can really get to that level of the ecosystem. But we're just all hoping that they can get a fundamental understanding of the fact that
DeFi and DAOs and true, proper, completely decentralized governance can allow for ecosystems where governments don't have to worry about someone taking all the money and running off to the Bahamas, where people are actually given fair representation and legislation within an ecosystem that doesn't require any centralized entity or individuals. Shannon's back.
Yeah, and one of the things I also wanted to kind of at least reach as far as the topic, and I apologize if we talked about it and I missed it, is the use of DAOs, right, for political parties, and then using them in the crypto space to where us as people get to actually define politics instead of having an arbitrary.
Shannon got rugged again.
Can I share something just so that everyone
Yeah,
listening?
of course, Way.
Thanks so much. I just want everyone to understand the electoral process, and there's some variations across states. But if you're thinking about running for office, because look, this is a revolution on all fronts, right? And this battlefield has many fronts, and politics is certainly one of them, on the legislative side and on the executive side, right? So if we're talking how the state of Massachusetts and expanding renewables like wind turbines relates to the grid, and whether, monetization of that renewable energy is ever going to be equally distributed amongst residents of Massachusetts, as an example. I think it's important to know that the executive administrative level of a state, that is the battlefront, right? The federal government can only do so much because at the end of the day, implementing change is at the local level, at the state level. So on the other hand, I just want to say, if you're running for office, I want everyone to understand the journey of running to office so that you can kind of identify some of the challenges in terms of barriers to entry, right? So you decide you're going to run, right? And you decide that you are going to bring this narrative of revolution. You're going to bring this use of technology and this understanding of people power to the political front. Well, most states, not all, but most states have requirements that you essentially undergo a nomination process. So that means that you have to go out there and collect, depending on the state, it could be 500, could be 1,000, could be more signatures, and individuals need to sign those signatures. You then need to take those nomination signatures within a very short period of time that you've collected. You need to submit them to the various town halls, city halls, to the board of canvassers. You have a human being on the other hand validating whether they believe that signature was signed by an actual person and cross-checking addresses. Here's where the first step of corruption takes place in electoral politics. You can assume that you will lose at a minimum 10%, at most up to 40% of those signatures. And so for anyone coming in that is unknown, for anyone that doesn't necessarily have a force of volunteers and a large team that they're paying out of pocket, you could be kept out of a political race automatically by their rejecting a certain number of signatures. Beyond that, now you run up against the institutions around the political process that enable corruption. These are the major media institutions that set arbitrary thresholds as to that they use to determine whether you can enter into televised debates. Those thresholds are so forth. One, polls that they fund, primarily designed to only call individuals that have landlines, which automatically you can imagine the demographics. And once those polls come back and don't reflect 3 to 5% of awareness about your candidacy, automatically that works against you. On the other hand, money. Many of the media institutions set up fundraising thresholds that you need to meet in order to get on the debate stage. And you have to have both the poll numbers and the funding to get on the debate stage. This is in parallel, but not even addressing the fact that if you are unable to raise a certain amount of money to compete with media ads and with mailers and in building an infrastructure and team to knock on as many doors as you can, then you are already disadvantaged. And yet some states have finance laws that try to limit funding. But even then, the political establishment will find 100,000 people in the US to support one candidate because they know that you're coming in to dismantle their power structures. On the other hand, if you live in a state where there are not cap limits for financing, you may find yourself fighting against one billionaire There are some states where one billionaire can destroy you if you are threatening that one billionaire's business model. So we need to understand that there's dark money, there's arbitrary standards around polling numbers that are disproportionately influenced by those in power, and there's an electoral process designed to keep revolutionaries out. Like, this is the battlefield that we are on in politics, and unless we start to develop even tools to run for office, things are going to have a hard time changing.
I wanted to kind of shift direction slightly. But before I do, I just wanted to say welcome to everybody. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday with us. If you could tweet out the space, let's get a few more folks in here to hear this pure gold that's being dropped on us. Thomas, I had a question for you, sir. I did not know you until we were introduced by Bugsy. But since I've been following you and I've looked through your social history a little bit, I'm not totally stalking you, but obviously I was intrigued. What are your, since you're so freshly from kind of the crypto space, and I'm sure still deep in it, what are your thoughts on the tribalism that arises around different, whether it's a cryptocurrency or a blockchain? And what are your thoughts on that tribalism, and what are your thoughts on how that works itself out should we see DAOs and stuff enter the political arena?
Okay, I mean, so with regard to DAOs, I think that there's definitely a huge place for them, because decentralized voting, if it can be solved and ironed out so that it is the system that people use, I think, like, so when I ideate on any of my projects, one of the big things that I go towards is, you can have a bad idea, but you just got to brush all the yuck off it. Like there's a gem in there. So, and I'm not saying that DAOs are a terrible idea, but I think that with regard to politics, the right DAO is coming along. Like it's going to happen. But what was the other side of that? Tribalism. So yeah, we built a large community over at SafeMoon, and a lot of it is tribal. And what's interesting is people aren't seeing is, like, not only is there's this large community of SafeMoon holders, there are smaller communities within the SafeMoon community itself. That's why we have such crazy engagement. Is we have supporting communities that join along, and they have their own little tribes, right? It's like you have an empire of tribes that all kind of go along with the same messaging. And in a lot of cases, for marketing and for getting the word out there, this is a beautiful thing. And in some cases, obviously, if you say anything negative, the tribe can turn on you. So in a lot of ways, it's really positive. In a lot of ways, it can be toxic sometimes. But this is where we have to kind of shift the focus towards DeFi in the crypto space, right? We're not trying to build maxis for any one token or any one coin, right? This is like where Bitcoin maxis and I butt heads all the time. This is about crypto. This is about lifting people up. This is about, making sure that, the bank can't tell you no when you try to spend your money. It's fundamental issues. That people are, they're not, it's, we want to unbank we want to unbank the bankers and bank the unbanked, give the money back to people. So that's what it's about. It's not about any one team. This is not professional sports, This is crypto. We're all playing on the same team. But that's how I feel about tribalism. We're part of a big crypto tribe. I've been here for a decade now. So let's go.
Let's fucking go. Thank you for your answers, sir. Bugsy, what's up, man?
Thanks, Thomas. No, I just wanted to add to that. I tried a couple weeks ago to bring, a different side of things. I tried to bring a whole DeFi community together with a SafeMoon community with Thomas here and Crypto Jesus. And, like he said, we're all one big community. Whether you like it or not, we're fighting for the same thing, and that's decentralized finance. I just want to stress to everybody, look into other things. Do not stick with one thing. And am I muted? It said everyone is now muted.
I accidentally hit the button. Sorry. Go ahead.
Don't stick to one thing. Don't stick to one thing. Help all these projects. We're all in this together. Don't be greedy. Don't be selfish. Don't be arrogant. Like, let's fucking go. We are at a fight. Honestly, a war. Call it a fucking war. I don't care. We are at a war with centralized finance. We want control of our shit, and we want it now. Let's fucking go. Listen to what these people are saying. If you think that one project is going to moon, you're going to put all your money in that one bag, you're not, no, I'm not going to say you're not going to make it, but you're going to get there slow. I know people right now, Bully will speak to it. Bully knows people that are making passive income on a daily basis by investing in nodes or staking tokens. There is so much to this DeFi, whether it's the metaverse or anything else. Let's fucking go.
Hey, can I jump in here for a second?
Yeah, man, do it.
Appreciate it. First, Bugsy, always love you. Bugsy, the work you do networking and connecting humans, always love you for that. I have a verbose question from a friend of mine and who is into this space. He's a DeFi nerd. So if you allow me, I'd like to ask it. And so I'm reading it. His name's David Rankin. His Twitter profile, if you want to look him up, is at David W. Rankin, Rankin. So that way you know who I'm speaking, whose question I'm asking. All right. So to his question. The question is about people buying voting power in DAOs for their own self-interest versus platform health. Examples have been Yearn, Compound, and Stabilize. Voting is slanted by those who can buy voting power in DAOs. It's all about fair distribution, which is a problem right now. Since people can inflate their wallets, you have to use KYC'd accounts associated with a unique NFT for a fair DAO system.
Ben, you want it? Oh, sorry, Peter Brett. I thought you were done. Continue.
Yes, I'm absolutely done.
Oh, Ben, you want to take this one? Because I feel like this is your cup of tea.
Yeah, token distribution is one of the most important parts of a DAO, because if you give like even a third of the tokens to a small group of people, like the developers of a project or a few investors, then that's a huge part of the voting power, and they can end up influencing entire votes just by coordinating between a few people. So you really have to focus on trying to distribute tokens initially to the people who are using or the people who are going to be affected by the decisions of the DAO. And there's a lot of things that go into that I feel like people don't usually consider when they think about DAOs. Like, just because something is run by a DAO does not necessarily mean that it's decentralized. And you have to be very careful whenever you see a new project. You have to be skeptical about whether or not it's truly decentralized or whether they're just claiming that.
Hey, can I jump in real quick? Sorry, just before we proceed. I want to give a shout out. Ben Phillips, if you want to come up here, please raise your hand. We'll bring you up. I appreciate you being here. It means a lot. I know who you are. We have mutual friends. Thank you for being here. If you would like to come up, please request and come talk to us. Thank you.
Hipneck, I see your hand, but first I want to throw it to Shannon. Go ahead, Shannon.
Hey guys, yeah, just real quick before I get rug pulled again, not by the cast, just by Twitter. A couple things. I love DAOs. We recently witnessed a DAO going through to buy a copy of the U.S. Constitution, right? So that gives power to the people. The thing about DAOs, though, and you're going to see this in a lot of other markets, is that you often do have the ability to purchase a purchasing power over a group of people. So we're going to see this in governance tokens across the board. And the question that was earlier asked, I think by David Rankin or whatever, passed through, was on the individual aspect, but we also have to worry about the nation state aspect, right? So what if I'm not going to actually pick that token because I don't want to spin it negatively. But so let's pick a different governance token that you may have for a cryptocurrency. And let's say North Korea purchased it, right? And if they purchased everything and now they're in complete control of it. So there are some negativity based off of, DAO structures and who owns it. There are some tokens out there, and I do work for a token. I'm trying not to say who that is. But there are some tokens out there, that are more community based. Those are also, risky based off of you don't necessarily know who all gets to vote and whether these people actually have a real voice or not. Cryptocurrency is an amazing concept. The governance over them is extremely complex. But to go back to tribalism real quick is, we can't be tribalist. Tribalism is going to hurt our market more than anything. And we see it with Doge, we see it with Steve, we see it with Bitcoin, and people, they just love their tokens, right? And they think that if you're invested somewhere else, that you're not invested all the way with them somewhere. And that's just BS, right? My heaviest asset is SHIB, even though I work for another token. SHIB earned it, right? It blew up in October. But just because people believe in a particular token, mission, or statement doesn't mean it's negative. They did their own research. Their research is different than yours. So, a lot of times you can maybe either then rethink your research or then just be like, maybe their research isn't as good as mine, and just let it be.
Shannon, I'd like to step in here just to say, with some of the examples you give, this goes back to what Ben was talking about, and it's all about the distribution of tokens. This is before you can even purchase based on a liquidity model. If you're initially distributing 100% of the supply of your cryptocurrency, it's 100% going to be based on how you distribute that supply. And the reality is, at the end of the day, the amount of that cryptocurrency even available to purchase, liquidity-wise, is at most going to be 10%, and that's still a lot of liquidity. So for any one entity to even try to do a malicious takeover, everyone here has to keep in mind, if tokens are distributed properly in an equal, semi-reasonable manner, and you have maybe a liquidity pool of 10%, which is still very large, it would cost hundreds of billions of dollars for someone to snatch up that entire liquidity pool, which is an important metric to keep in mind, if not more than that. Hostile takeover is 100% based. It's not even hostile. Usually, it's completely based on bias, and that is usually up to token creation, right? That's why we see so many things that have so many problems, and then they're just screwed because they fucked it up initially. And I mean, like Thomas is a great example because he knows a shit ton about liquidity, right? When SafeMoon V1 was created, their liquidity model was great. Like, they always incentivized and made sure there was active liquidity. And liquidity is a huge thing that, creates an environment where people can always enter and exit a project. That way, if you disagree with the project, you can leave. You can sell your bags at fair market price. But if you want to get involved with the project, boom, you can buy in. So it creates all sorts of centric models. But someone else had their hand raised. And then someone that was here for a while had their hand raised. I think they just dropped down, so I'm sorry about that. They were one of the SafeMoon Army people.
It's hip hop. He keeps coming up, but I don't know if he's getting rugged or not. If he wants to come up, please come up and just start talking.
Yeah, I think he's getting rugged. Ben, go ahead, sir.
So I just wanted to say that there's other types of DAOs as well. So we're not stuck with the whole token-based DAO. There's in particular one concept called proof of humanity, which is a way of identifying people on the blockchain, so you can prove that your address belongs to you as a person, and it's impossible to create multiple identities on the blockchain. So you can theoretically set up a DAO that is one vote per person maximum, and there's also ways to do it so that your voting power is equal to the square root of the number of tokens you have for a particular cryptocurrency, which is called quadratic voting. I know Vitalik Buterin is a big champion of quadratic voting. He's talked about that a lot. So there's all sorts of different models that you can use for different things. So for instance, if we're ever going to have a DAO that's making decisions for the government or for voting representatives, we're not going to want to use a system where you can buy voting power. Instead, we're going to want to use probably a pure proof of humanity based approach.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, and I think
Warrior, real quick before you go, Hip has been going out the entire time. He's been waiting for a really long time. So Hip, what's up? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for letting me speak. I don't know if I have so much of a question as just some thoughts. When I heard Thomas get asked about tribalism, it really rung a bell with me since I've been sort of involved in some of that. I think my fear with DAOs and political action inside of decentralization is the tribalism and the ability of these tribes to act without necessarily being educated or having the knowledge. I think that we see it currently in our political world where people blindly follow leaders simply because of the media that they've seen. And my concern would be that we would see similar things happening in the Twitter space and within decentralization. And the second would be that those DAOs, as has been discussed, would need to be researched deeply to make sure that they were actually had fair voting and that they weren't being purchased or created by large entities. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, the more I listen to this conversation and just think about the future possibilities, and I know we've talked about it already, but education is just so huge for people that are entering the space and that are going to interact with these protocols. Go ahead, Warrior.
Yeah, just wanted to add to that. I mean, like, I just want to acknowledge that there's always a power struggle, right? I mean, people that preach socialism, those power struggles lead to communism. People that preach extreme capitalism, those power struggles lead to fascism. Like, there's always a power struggle and there's always a form that it eventually takes. And our two-party system, to your point, like, we're seeing a level of extremism and tribalism that is prohibiting us from even taking action on things. I mean, right? Like, how malignant can it get? And we're also seeing large corporations have disproportionate influence on that due to the electoral process and how it's been designed and primarily driven by dark money. So, now I just want to come back full circle here and just say, like, I love the idea of proof of humanity. I do think that, we have to, like, also acknowledge that in our electoral process, there are many more people that do not participate in the voting, and partly for access, maybe one can argue, but also partly for indifference. Like, people are sick and distrustful of the current system. And so, I'm wondering, when we think about DAOs, I guess this is a question I have, whatever the form to ensure that it is a person and it is one vote, how do we keep people engaged? Like, what kind of technological measures can we take in its design to incentivize participation?
So you can do reward-based mechanics. You could literally pay people and you could just have it slightly inflate every year, right? And the people that are having their positions inflate are the people that are not voting. And the people who are making a slight percent gain off of that are the people who are actually taking the time to vote. There are a bunch of other mechanics you can do, but once you actually get involved with something like governance, you have people that are a shit ton more likely to vote because it affects their everyday lives, right? Like, obviously, we see people vote in political elections. I mean, how many people vote in the U.S. presidential election? I don't know. I actually don't even know that number. Shannon, you would probably know. It's what, probably 10%, maybe 20%.
It's actually a lot higher. It's the presidential election. You start getting into the 60 to 75%, but then in the off years, where it really matters, of the local representation, many people don't vote. So a lot of those candidates could win with only 10% of the vote. So it's like, and expect, so in this last cycle, right, it was Donald Trump against Biden. Everybody's going to show up and express their opinion in one way. But this next year, or the next 2022, it's going to have such a low turnout unless they're just pissed off about the current environment, which, I'm not pumping any political party, but there's a lot of pissed off people out there, no matter what side of the fence you're on.
And I think the best thing we can do is, like, as the reason we're all here, the reason why a lot of us are learning about this is one of a few reasons. Either you care about progressiveness, the technology and innovation and how it can help people, or you care about money, or you care about both. And there's nothing wrong with any of those aspects. And a great way to incentivize anyone to do anything, like we see in a lot of models in the world, is through money. And like Ethereum, right? The Ethereum network, the way they incentivize people to validate transactions and to essentially store the entire list of the blockchain is they give them, I don't know what it is, 6.5% annual percent return to stake their Ethereum to be a validator, right? So what happens in reality in that case is they actually pay those people by adding new Ethereum into circulation every year. So everyone who's not staking, everyone who doesn't want to be a validator, everyone who doesn't want to lock up their Ethereum, their positions are inflating slightly. But now they introduce EIP 1559, and now there's a burn mechanic, so it's likely deflationary. That's a whole nother story. But think about how many more people would vote if the US government said, hey, if you vote, you get $1, right? Or you get $10 or $20, whatever it is. And they could do that through something similar, like a staking mechanism, just like Ethereum does to validate transactions. All these things are possibilities. And we are just in such a brand new zone where there's going to be crazy new things coming out every day. But you know what? The best way to incentivize people to do anything at the end of the day is through money, right? If you pay someone to go learn, they're a lot more likely to go learn.
Speaking of incentives, CJ, you want to introduce our little giveaway up top?
Oh, yeah. So we're giving away one of the Solon NFTs. Each one of our NFTs will come with a bit of the Solon cryptocurrency. And it gives you access to the Bool ecosystem. So we have when the ecosystem deploys on July 1st, there's going to be a private liquidity pool that's going to be managed by the team in our research and possible AI integration. And the only way you can deposit money into that liquidity pool is if you have one of our NFTs. You'll be able to rent these NFTs out as well, et cetera, et cetera. But if you click on that pinned tweet up top and just, I think it's just retweet, join the Discord, and it was something else. I forget. Retweet, join the Discord, and follow the Solon account. Then you enter, and hopefully you'll win the NFT. So best of luck to everyone.
Awesome. I see your hand, Ben. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say regarding incentive to vote, even if we don't have a monetary incentive, I think blockchain will still be huge as far as voter turnout, because ultimately the goal is where you don't need to go anywhere in order to vote. You'll just get a notification on your phone and you can open it up and look at the different options, select your vote, sign a transaction, and it's done. And obviously that's a long ways out, but that's the dream, because at that point, you'd be crazy not to participate in a vote that's going to greatly impact, the politics that affect your day-to-day life. So ultimately, if we can get to the point where voting's easy enough, I don't even think we need monetary reward.
Yeah, sorry to jump in like that, but I just think that concept is, think about how much time people spend swiping through Instagram or Tinder or something like that, and how engaging an app that had live voting for every issue in our nation through blockchain would be. If you could be on there swiping through it, looking at what was coming up, what was going to be voted on when, and you could actually actively vote on those things, I think would be a very powerful tool, and maybe wouldn't need any financial incentive, and maybe better done without any financial attachment whatsoever.
Thank you. Bugsy, I see your hand, but just as a side note, after this chat, I want you to give me a crash course on the Tinder app.
Shannon, if you wanted to go first in response to something there, go ahead, because I'm going to change the subject.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to point out, just as a counter mechanism, and I'm not at all opposed to voting on the blockchain, because it's definitely where I'm going to. But one of the things that we want to pay attention to is in my support of paying people to vote is you also have people who are going to pay people to vote for them, right? So it's going to bring in a level of corruption. If I'm going to pay you $10 for your vote, maybe a side party will pay you $100 for you to vote for Mr. Smith over Mr. Robinson, right? But that's still the power of the vote. It's still democracy. It's still the way it works. And if somebody is willing to sell their own soul for their vote, that's just on them, in my opinion. So I kind of discount that. I think if someone wants to sell their vote, then that's okay too, because at least their voice has been spoken, whether or not it was a legitimate voice or not.
Shannon, but then that's going to create an environment where if you sell your vote, then that person now has your vote permanently, right? So if you sell your vote and they now have your voting rights, then they're just going to keep voting for things that are probably not in the favor of the people who need the money by selling their vote, and are likely just going to spin down this rabbit hole of becoming poorer and poorer, and will lead us back to the same system that we currently have, except it'll just be the blockchain version.
No, you're 100% right. And it's really kind of what we've already done, right? But it's just a counter, it was just the counter argument coming from MIT, as in that people might sell their votes. Hopefully, people would have a lot more faith in the American system, knowing their vote does really count, and not to give it away. Even though most people don't understand how their votes go down to a delegate system, which goes down to a statewide system, which then goes on to how each state picks their presidential candidate. But all your statewide candidates, including your U.S. senators, are tallied specifically on your individual votes. So your individual votes always matter. I would hope that nobody would sell their integrity by selling their vote. But you know what? I'm also not here to judge what other people do.
I just want to say real quick, because I know Bugsy wanted to change the topic, but there's a really great Vitalik Buterin article on ways we can actually prevent people from selling their votes. And it's been a while since I read it, so I can't say too much on it. But there is ways to cryptographically make it impossible to prove that you voted one way or another.
Go ahead, Bugsy.
I had a question from the audience. It was 44 Blakester, but I think he's gone now, so I don't think I'm going to ask it because it's very long and confusing. But I did at some point, guys, want to talk, change the topic more towards Warrior's project and what his goal is here moving forward as far as healthcare, and what he would like to do. So at some point, if we can get him to expand on what he would like to see in healthcare and some of the issues we have there, I'd love to hear everyone's input on that also.
Good. Yeah, I think that sounds great. Let's reset. And Warrior, if you want to pin a tweet up to the top of the room about your project, and then we'll dig into it. But my name's John. I'm part of the Solon DeFi crew, along with Crypto Jesus Bugsy. Good friends with Twitter friends, at least, with Thomas and Peter Bread, and our lead dev, Ben. We love talking DeFi. We love chopping it up. So we've got some folks here today that are straight up geniuses in the crypto space. And we've also got some people that are candidates for political office, which is awesome. And we got some killer traders. So a lot of interesting thinkers here. If you have questions, if you want to get involved in the conversation, we're going to open it up a little bit more now. So go ahead and request. We'll get to you as soon as we can. And yeah, you got a tweet for us there. I see it. Okay. And Warrior, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks so much. So in that tweet, you're going to notice rêver. Rêver is French, which means to dream. And this journey has been really ongoing for about 2 years now. It started right before the pandemic. And just to explain how it started, being a physician and then going on and participating in industry, doing some consulting and tech development, you start to really understand how the system, like I said earlier, is designed for profits and places profits over people in many respects. This is not to judge negatively the clinicians, as a disclaimer, or the people who are working every day to try to help lives, but the system is a system. The economics are the economics, and they work against the working people of this country and many people around the world. So understanding the cost burden on people that are just like trying to, go into an ER, right? And just to get checked up and they come out with a $2,000 bill. The person with a chronic wound that's 70 and that wound is open, they're trying to get bandages and they end up having to pay $1,500 to $2,000 a year and Medicare doesn't cover it all. You just see these problems and these burdens on people. And, from a healthcare perspective, from the system's perspective, those are small issues. And so they're able to kind of negate them or be indifferent to them. So understanding that problem, I started to really investigate even further into how the middle players, the people you never see, the companies you never see, contribute to price hiking, right? Price gouging, lack of price control. You've all seen this during COVID-19. It's interesting how the world has woken up to some extent. You saw bidding wars stop supply chain for mask and test kits. You saw the impact that had on your neighbors. And so the question becomes, like, what do you do about it? Fortunately, we had been in the process of developing a solution to do something about that before the pandemic, and the pandemic has just affirmed our intention. So Reaver, what we're doing is we're focusing on people, health consumers. How do we get money back in the health consumers' pocket? How do we decentralize the power structures in supply chain and put power into the hands of the consumers and the small businesses that right now don't have the leverage to really contribute, to really access fair pricing on products, or to contribute to how what they call formularies are created. Like, who is negotiating the price points on this list that this insurance company is using to decide to charge you $600 for insulin, right? Like, who are the influencers? And the influencers are the people that ultimately participate in the in-between, between manufacturers and consumers, between manufacturers and hospitals. And so this is the problem. And I just want to say that what we've done is develop a solution to bring small players, to bring patients together, to give them instruments to take control of some of that process, and to do so in a way that is not immediately dismantling an entire system, but finding a wedge, right? Finding a place to kind of fit in order to expand and grow to the point where if we have sufficient volume of people in our community, we can become just as powerful, if not more powerful, than the institutions that are designing those formularies, those lists, those price controls. How we do that is going to be something that I'm going to not talk about in this space. I'm going to talk about it. We're going to drop our white paper January 1st, 2022. So on New Year's Day, if you want an interesting read, please take a listen. We have a mythos also designed and some cool NFTs that we'll be putting out. We're going to be leveraging those NFTs in very unusual ways. So CJ on the back channels, I'd love to talk to you more about that. For us, it's not only the token and DeFi and the utility of the token, it's also how do we have that total recall moment? How do we have that moment where it doesn't matter what the founders intended? We can all do our best to create a decent foundation, but what's that moment when we push that button and we truly give power to the community, to the users, and in that power, when they can kind of reshape the product altogether to suit their needs, because healthcare needs are ever growing. Healthcare is at the center of every single industry. In this country, it's $4 trillion a year. So I don't see a bigger problem today than disrupting and dismantling the most rigid of healthcare systems that even in a country like the US is truly not designed to serve the people. So that's Reaver. We are not about really creating another army. I consider us to be a spirit that's within all of us of really just trying to create a better world and a better quality of life for the people we love. And my hope is that all of the armies and all of the tribes and all of the communities can just understand that it's going to take collective action to win this battle. Because if you've seen pushback on games, the pushback we're going to see on this front is going to be big.
Thank you. Bugsy, go ahead.
Now, this is such an important topic. I'm currently in a situation where I could be leaving my current employer very shortly, but the only thing holding me there really is the fact that I have cheap access to health insurance through them. If I were to leave, I'm looking at something like $1,200 a month, and I have a wife who's pregnant with my third child. Big costs there. I also get children that get sick constantly, and I'm fighting that whole healthcare system right now. And I think any way we can attack that is also such a huge topic and huge industry that we need to get involved in also. And I'd love to hear what the panel and anyone down low, if you have any questions or comments, please come up and say something. So carry on.
Thomas.
Hey there. So following up on Warrior's comments on something that you create, Andreas Antonopoulos said, and this goes for both the government, healthcare, any systems we put in place, any systems we create today. For better or worse, something that you create or something you invent is rarely what it becomes. And we can kind of take heart in that. We're here now working on these systems now, and we're involving community, involving everyone, because these are the systems that, these are the protocols that we build that everybody's going to be going with. Or, well, not everybody. It's like we're here cutting it with everybody, So it's the place that we're in is pivotal in that we have the opportunity today to innovate on the problems that we see coming. So I love you guys.
Love right back at you, bro.
100.
What's up, Shannon?
Yeah, the healthcare debate is rather interesting, right? Because a lot of what's going on are prices set by big pharma that the U.S. government has to pay. I mean, right now, even on U.S. television, you're going to start to see commercials talking about, how the government can work with big pharma on better prices, but then you'll find out that those commercials are paid for by big pharma. Right. But ultimately, what we have in our government and our laws are that the U.S. government can't actually negotiate better drug prices. That's why some of our drug prices through our socialism programs are a little high. The answer is not to have free healthcare for all, because all that's going to do is then raise our taxes to pay the raising prices of insurance companies who are paying the raising price or the rising costs of hospitalizations that are based off of a $9 Band-Aid, right? So blockchain can definitely come in and start showing where our costs are. But better than that, right? We can get rid of a lot of the middlemen inside our healthcare systems with these smart contracts, right? We can have different DAOs that we build to help support us. And then we can remove, the middleman inside the middle. But you're not always just even paying for your policy, right? You're paying for IT departments, you're paying for their security, you're paying for their advertising. I mean, you're paying for a number of things that are relevant inside the medical industry just when you get hurt. Why should you be paying for multi-billion-dollar corporations advertising when you have cancer or you break your leg? Right? You shouldn't be paying for any of that. So we should have a de-medical, right? We should be able to definance the medical industries to where our doctors are still paid well, but then we're cutting out all of the middlemen in between. So there's so many different solutions for blockchain, and we're just scratching the surface. I yield my time.
Hipneck.
Yeah, Shannon just kind of spoke on a lot of what I was thinking about saying. I'm not nearly as knowledgeable, but one thing I have dug into a little bit in the past is the charge master system, which is how hospitals actually set the prices. It's not like a normal business where they look at cost and overhead and set prices accordingly. It is essentially a randomized system that's put together by hospital staff to set prices, which is why you see one hospital charges $12 for a Band-Aid and the other charges $6. There's no unified standard for making those prices, which is one thing we would do well with blockchain to get through, is to be able to see all those prices across the board. Another thing I just wanted to comment on is I've traveled quite a bit, and one of the astonishing things is that you get out to countries that are considered third world, poverty stricken, etc., and right away you'll notice that when you need some medicine, you just go to a pharmacy and you pay basically at cost for those pharmaceuticals at an extremely lower cost than we see in the US. That's something that we really, really need to address in this country.
I think all Americans can definitely agree with that. If y'all could hit up that pinned tweet at the top from Warrior, the Reaver Gods, and give that a retweet. Give Warrior a follow. Appreciate what he's creating in the space. And I guess unless we don't have any more, I see somebody connecting is Speaker Hodel. Welcome to the top.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I think, you guys brought in some great pieces. And when you talk about, healthcare, which is near and dear to my heart, and one of the things that I follow, and I'm working that field currently right now as well, is your also your health record. When you're going from one hospital to another, and always have to repeat that information and give that stuff. Where if you're able to use the blockchain and have that there and followed in any hospital system you go into, allows you where you have that readily available. It's right there, and it's updated. They have all that stuff. They have your CTs. They have everything right there for you to do what you need to do. I think there's amazing things that we can do with that in our healthcare system.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was actually I overheard a conversation the other day, and it was the person on the telephone was either a high up administrator or a physician at one of the top children's hospitals here in Austin, Texas, and it made me realize that I'm not sure we ever get the health care that we all dream about. I'm just not sure it happens because hearing this conversation, they were talking about a child patient, and you can't make administrators and physicians love your child or love you the way that you do. They look at you as a number, and you do come across those amazing doctors every once in a while, and you're very fortunate if you do. But for the most part, they're doing a job, and they're trying not to get sued. And they're really taking there's a lot of guesswork in medical diagnosis. I hate to think about that, but there just is. If you've been to the doctor repeatedly, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What's up, Peter Bread?
Well, to strike a balance there, they have to be a bit detached, or else they would suffer from mental health crises themselves. Think about your healthcare professionals and how many people they have to see in different levels of situations for whatever reason. If they were deeply emotionally invested in every patient, then they wouldn't be able to remain slight objective to give you the most objective facts and reasons they can find, because they're humans.
Can I add to that though? I couldn't disconnect, and I was fighting with my superiors, and frankly that's why I made the decision to go into industry in many respects, because the fight couldn't happen at that level. Like, change wasn't going to happen. But to your point, if I had kept fighting, if I had stayed there 20 years, it would have been a burnout field, right? I mean, the work itself is hard, let alone going home with headaches and frustration because you had to send someone home that had a 80% chance of getting a heart attack, but the protocols in the emergency department were set up so that if an EKG didn't show sufficient anomaly, you couldn't keep them there, right? So I hear what you're saying, but I also just want to say that like this, I think most practitioners have a period of time where they are really fighting, but this disconnect, the desensitization, the mental well-being per se, it's over time. I don't think it's really immediate. And I also just want to add that, you know, when we think about healthcare, there's a level of colonization. I use this word intentionally, right? Because going to med school, going to nursing school, any school in the healthcare field, if you're there long enough, they deconstruct you. I'm telling you, you disconnect from your loved ones for a long period of time. You learn every single disease that exists, and then they build you back up. And in building back up, they do train you to do research. Everything is research driven in academic medicine. Those that break out and become concierge doctors and stuff, like, more power to them. It takes a level of like mental divergence and power to do that. But for those that get locked into academic medicine, which are part of these large hospital systems that are eating up small hospitals, right? The attitude in a lot of ways actually is dangerous for DeFi. And this is why. Because when we look at any use of blockchain technology with medical records, everybody's talking about like transparency stuff. And I get that. Yeah, I want that. But why aren't we talking about the fact that these institutions are anonymizing data, providing it to firms that connect with them, tech firms, research firms, and those firms are generating algorithms that are generating profit. And none of that profit is going back to the initial patient that contributed to the data pool. So when we talk about connecting DeFi with the bridge that we have in the use of like blockchain technology in healthcare, like with Hyperledger or some other organizations out there, like, you know, I want to bring this back to health consumers. Our focus should always be getting a dollar back into the pockets of health consumers, giving power to health consumers and determining what's going on with their data and how the protocols in these institutions are designed. Because it's those protocols that are leaving people behind. It is those protocols that are allowing for physicians to pretty much select a pool of candidates that can contribute to a pool of data that from their perspective will help them publish a paper, and from the hospital's perspective will help them generate profit. So I'm on my rant. There it is. Thanks everyone for the couple of minutes here.
Thank you, man. Go Kai, what's up? Welcome.
Hey, thanks, guys. My first time in this space, and I popped in here. Apparently, I'm a goat farmer, so I get time to come in and out. And I really like what you guys have going on right now. My question is, I wonder if anyone in here knows. Apparently, you guys know about the health field. I'm wondering if you know anything about the relationship between Saitama and Lily Finance, and if that is something that you all have been looking at, and if it's going to be beneficial in the future for how we either do billing. I think it might have to do with billing, or if it has to do with the way the healthcare works in the future. I don't know if anyone can speak on that.
So I'm gonna introduce what you're talking about briefly for everyone in the crowd. Basically, Saitama has their big value proposition. Apparently, why they're creating their own blockchain is they're partnering with this medical company to basically help create a payment structure in a world more of a like universal structure for medical and patient data. The idea is that in theory, you can go to patients and say, hey, we'll give you some of our cryptocurrency in exchange. You give us our patient data, and then it's part of this like universal portal. That way, because there's a problem where if I go to a hospital and I'm always going to the same hospital, they've got my patient data, but another hospital outside their ecosystem doesn't. And normally I would need to fill out some paperwork to have that data transferred over. So let's say I got into a terrible car crash. They take me to the nearest hospital. They don't know shit about me, which can lead to a lot of problems. So the idea is to create a universal structure for patient data. Although I'm not particularly sure why they need to create their own blockchain in order to do that, but I mean, I don't know
too much about the team specifically. I saw another thing called the Saitoma coin, which is something they're releasing also, and it looked like only 20% of that was going to go to the public. The rest was going to be reserved for VCs, team members, blah, 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 etc., which is not a good look in my opinion, because we were just talking about token release structure a little while ago, and how although they may say they're decentralizing things, how you're distributing the tokens will say otherwise.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know. I just didn't know if you guys knew about how that was going to affect the medical industry and if it would in a positive way or not. That's all. And I appreciate it and thank you. And
I think Shannon might have a response for you.
Yeah, actually, we have to be careful with what we do there. I mean, we have different layers of the HIPAA Act, and if there's any HIPAA Act experts out there, I want to assure you, yes, I know the HIPAA laws, all the way down to the cybersecurity aspects of it, right? But the transference of medical data without your permission violates several laws. Now, the putting it on a blockchain then now all of a sudden puts it possible for other people to discover your medical information after it's been de-anonymized. So I like blockchain for government, right? Because then it offers transparency. I like blockchain for publicly traded companies because it offers transparency. But I don't necessarily want my mom's medical data being transparent to everyone. So whatever we do there, I want to make sure that the proper controls are in place to protect our privacy as individuals.
Completely
Same
understood.
thing, I would like to protect our voting records.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So CJ, to that. Sorry, Bugsy, your hand.
I was just gonna say, Rick, down in the crowd. I see you're a cybersecurity guy, analyst. If you wanted to come up and give your thoughts on cybersecurity stuff, I'd love to hear what you got going on and what your thoughts are as far as crypto. So don't be afraid to raise your hand and come up and speak with us. That'd be awesome.
And you guys can move me to listener. Thank you.
Goat guy, I heard recently that goats are the most they're the sons of bitches of the farmyard. Is that true?
It depends on what type of goat. I have one that is not the same type. He's not one like the others, and he's a pretty much of a pain in the butt. But my goats are pretty good. We do dairy goats. They're small goats. They're easy to handle, and it's about how much time you spend with them. I think, like a dog, you could have a rowdy dog, but your neighbor's got the same dog and it's not rowdy. So it depends on how you handle things, I guess.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Thomas, you had a comment?
Well, I'm sorry. No, I didn't have a comment.
Cheers.
I love goats.
I was just gonna say that, and CJ, I'd love to get your perspective. I think it's Change Healthcare that uses Hyperledger, and and Hyperledger has can be private and public. I mean, even though blockchain technology, we see its infiltration into healthcare on the medical record side. I mean, to Shannon's point, I don't ever see pure full DeFi kind of level transparency with medical records, given the HIPAA laws, but there's still room, right? I mean, there's still room to leverage the technology itself.
I mean, Warrior, it's not going on right now, but like we see new innovations in this space every day. I'm not sure how that private ledger system works, but maybe it's completely centralized and they use centralized data storage systems, and then it's blockchain, but not necessarily for the right reasons, right? Because you still have a centralized party that can, in theory, do whatever they want with your medical data. We're starting to see new forms of decentralized storage come out every day. R-Wave is super cool. As far as privatizing decentralized storage, I'm not sure if R-Drive allows you to do that. Ben, can you store data privately on R-Drive?
Yeah, you just have to encrypt it.
See, well, there you go. So you can encrypt data and store it privately on something like our drive, and then in theory, you can make it so certain wallet addresses have access to that data, right? So you could have hospitals, and then you could maybe use a proof of humanity metric to prove that, hey, this hospital is a hospital, and we know they're a hospital, and they have this address, and this address can access this group of patient data information in theory, right? But we're not there yet. Someone could get there. But we are specifically the technology exists, right? Smart contracts exist, all these implementations exist, and it's just up to the individual at the end of the day.
What Change Healthcare is doing this on is using blockchain to process healthcare claims right now. Like it's been doing it for I think of the past year and a half using Hyperledger Fabric.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not sure how that works specifically, right? I just don't know about them. Like, I'm not sure if they're centralized or not. If I had to guess, I would likely say they're fairly centralized.
Right. And I think that's the thing. Hyperledger allows for private and public, and yeah, I mean, it's in looking into. I think they have a hybrid approach, if not purely private. I'll have to double check where they are today.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the public-private key pair on those, and wondering how exactly that would work, because while you're right, it can be encrypted, you would still be allowing massive amounts of medical organizations to be able to decrypt it. So
correct.
The key would be very, very publicly known.
Yeah, Shannon, you got rugged, but definitely very publicly known who has access to that information and how you distribute the information after. We can encrypt that information, we can throw it on the blockchain, but how do you decide who has access to that information? How do you still keep that metric decentralized? How do you create some sort of sensitivity around that medical data? That's a whole nother can of worms. It's possible to throw it on the blockchain. It's possible to encrypt it. But how do you determine access is a whole nother metric. And that's something we could probably sit down for a few days and maybe figure out. But like I said, it's going to happen. It just has yet to.
Morgan.
I'm not sure if anyone's brought this aspect of up yet, but when you got admitted to the hospital, you gave your symptoms to the nurse and she types it in a database to file it away for that visit. And there was a generated list of possibilities to what could be going on. And then they could check off like, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. So you can kind of avoid a misdiagnosis or a doctor not doing everything they should based off of your initial symptoms. And it holds their accountability into play on the blockchain and makes them more accountable. So I think that could be a good use case for what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think like when we look across hospital systems, even within the same town, city, right, you can find that there's no standardization around protocols. And then everybody talks about evidence-based medicine, but what sources are they using to reinforce the protocols that they're designing, right? So what if the whole world was connected on a chain, right? And the whole world was contributing evidence and data that could be kind of averaged out to determine what statistically significant decisions should be made, right? So like which decisions have enough weight on them that this is the right decision. And so as things improve, they improve across hospital systems around the world, right? Like there's so much potential, and that's where we should be moving. But again, what is the profit incentive or disincentive to doing that? And you have hospital systems competing with one another for patients and profits driving that competition. And that's one of the biggest barriers to getting there, I think.
And no one's going to be accurate 100% of the time. It goes back to what John was talking about, right? Like a lot of things are complete shot in the dark, and that's just a reality of working with organic beings at this point in our technological evolutionary scale. So when you implement a system like that and people are somewhat held responsible for the decisions they make, which it's always good to keep people responsible because then it's going to make them look harder into things. But at the same time, you're going to scare a lot of probably good medical professionals away because obviously you can't be accurate 100% of the time. So there are plenty of metrics and technological integrations we can use with blockchain in the medical field, but really at the end of the day, we just need to iron out the specific details. It's there, the technology's there, we can do it. We just got to figure out what the specifics are going to be.
which is one of the reasons I love just what we're doing here. We're figuring it out, man. We're figuring it out. I know some of you guys that build on chain and build these protocols. I don't know if you think about it like me, but when when my eyes kind of open to blockchain, to crypto, I'm just like I'm overwhelmed by the magnitude of the possible applications. Like it just, I guess I'm overwhelmed by the amount of work that needs to be done.
That's what I say every day, like in this space. A lot of people always feel like, hey, I'm too late. I'm like, like all of us up here that are sitting as speakers right now, not a single individual here, even if we had just entered the space today, would think we are too late. In fact, we are extremely way too early. Web3 is brand new, right? So what John's talking about right there, boom, I see all these things with all these problems that can be fixed with blockchain, that can be fixed with Web3 integration, or that can just be more efficient, right? Can save money, can help people, all these things. And you know what? There's millions and millions and millions of problems that can be solved or be made more efficient with blockchain and Web3 integration and ecosystems. And all of us sitting up here, you know what? We just don't even have enough time on our hands to do all of it, right? We're each trying to tackle an individual problem or ecosystem or just a tiny little aspect on our own. But the market, the industry, the world, all of it could use Web3 and blockchain interaction and ecosystem integration. It's just about figuring out the specifics, right? And that's going to be up to every individual here if you want to take the time to learn. Thomas, what's up?
Hey, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I've said this a lot. If there are only 3% of the populace that's even aware that this is better money, like there's a 97% surety that we are here early. So, like, ask anyone who's new to it, any new enthusiastic individual in the community about whether this is better money. The answer is going to be the same. So, I mean, hold on to your pants if you think that you're late, because you're not.
Hey guys, I really appreciate everything that you're doing. I appreciate your knowledge, and I appreciate you letting me in the space and asking some questions. But I got to get back to my duties, and I appreciate it. Have a blessed day.
Cheers, goat guy.
As well.
Thanks for coming up, man.
Bugsy.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Darcy, for coming in and joining our space. I sent you that link a while ago, and I really appreciate you coming through and hearing what we have to say and listening and supporting these political candidates that are pro crypto. And if you have anything you want to say or come up and speak to us, please don't hesitate. Come on up. Thank you.
Peter Bread.
Hey, CJ, can you share with everyone something I've heard you say many a times, but I think it always hits home to me when you say it, about this space and electricity versus appliances versus the light bulb. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, my little analogy. So my technical expertise is technically I haven't really graduated, but I was going to school for electrical and computer engineering. So I always equate Bitcoin and blockchain as kind of like the human side of the discovery of electricity. Then Ethereum and the creation of smart contracts as the generator. Now we have a constant supply of electricity. What do you do with it, right? Now you have electricity on demand whenever you want it. It's right there. How do you use it? What do you create with it? And then right now, I honestly think we are in the light bulb stage, right? We literally just turned on the light bulb, and the light bulb stage, I would say, is DeFi. Like DeFi, a lot of people right now in this world, in this space, we see it as this whole huge market that is just beginning, but DeFi is nowhere near the end. We're going to have decentralized governance. We're going to have all these different crazy new ecosystems that we have yet to even think of. Right, so we are literally in the light bulb stage, and I like to think UniSwap, the Maker DAO, even the Olympus DAO, all these cool protocols that innovated each on their own, just turned on the light. And that's where we are right now. We have yet to see cars. We have yet to see refrigerators. We have yet to see any of these ecosystems or adaptations or integrations. We are brand new. Smart contracts have only existed for the past 6 years, and smart contracts give everyone the ability to create all these protocols and ecosystems and anything that you can define by the parameters of an equation that we see, on the Ethereum blockchain, which has over 8,000 different ecosystems, protocols, and cryptocurrencies, and 95% of the NFT market. All of that exists because of smart contracts, which have literally only existed for 6 years. So we are so early, it's crazy, and I just feel so blessed to be alive in this age, and to be here and to be learning. Everyone on this stage right now, we learn every day too. No one, all of us feel like, and I feel like I could say this, that we know nothing, right? Because this space is just so huge, it's so vast, and we learn something new every day. And even someone like Vitalik Buterin is learning something new every day. He's probably the most knowledgeable I would say he's the most knowledgeable person in this entire space. And what he knows compared to what has been discovered for integrations with blockchain and cryptocurrency and smart contract based technology is less than 0.0001%.
Well said. What's up, crypto?
Hey guys, everybody doing? Bugsy, CJ, Warrior, Shannon, lots of regulars here. Thomas, first time talking with you indirectly, I guess. Been in many spaces, always impressed. CJ mentioning DAOs. I want to take a minute, if the room is okay, to plug our upcoming DAO chat on Wednesday. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yes, we got Bugsy, CJ, Warrior, and some others coming together this Wednesday. I'll post it at the top. We're going to talk about, speaking of education, we're going to talk about DAOs from the beginning. What is it? How do they work? And then deep dive into all the different applications. And I'll pop it up top. I love what I'm hearing today on, governance opportunities. As Bugsy was talking about earlier, CJ kind of mentioned it up top. The U.S. is designed to be decentralized. We got away from it, right? Obviously, we've got right now. We just got ridiculous numbers of agencies and regulations, et cetera. Think about back to when George Washington ran the executive branch. There were more people running his Mount Vernon operation than there were running in the executive branch at that time, right? And now fast forward to today to what we have, right? So we got to scale back, we got to trim down, we got to tighten up. But a way to get there is transparency by pointing things out. And I think transparency might cure maybe some of the disenchantment and some of the flat out apathy we have, right? Because the power is in the people. And I know it's easy for us to say, well, billionaires control everything and politicians control crooked. Well, because we let them in some ways, right? I understand there's limitations, but some of that is on us too, right? And that's why this kind of community with these smart people, these different applications coming together, and now this technology catching up to the hearts and minds that have been out there for a long time. Now this technology can make some of this reality, and we're already seeing it here start to happen. So, I'm just really psyched to be a small part of the conversation. And I'll post this link, if that's cool, up top, John, to this upcoming for Wednesday.
Absolutely. Post it up top. And y'all in the space, if you could please give Crypto Hodler a follow and retweet his link, that'd be awesome. Just a general practice. Good to follow everybody in the room. I'm seeing a lot of people as I'm clicking through your profiles that I haven't followed yet. So I'm following a bunch of you, as many as I can get to. I love it because I'm looking down in the space and I don't see a ton of cartoon avatars. So that means a lot of you are hanging out in different areas of the internet than I am. So that means I need to follow y'all. So I would appreciate the follow back, retweet pin tweets, and that's how we grow this space and continue to spread good ideas. What's up, Bugsy?
No, I just that was awesome the way you said that. Yeah, we are trying to come together as one. So definitely follow everybody, get to know everyone, learn. thank you, Zach Humphreys, for coming in. Looks like you have a YouTube show, whatnot. If you want to come up here and talk to either one of these political candidates or some of the developers we have on the panel right here, these guys are a wealth of knowledge. Even if you have some questions or anything, come on up, man. Come talk to us. Love to hear what you have to say. So thank you.
Thanks, Bugsy. I'm gonna just kind of we've been going for about 2 hours, so I'm gonna kind of start to wind it up. It doesn't have to end in the next 2 minutes, but I just wanted to cycle through all the people up on stage, and to be a little bit trite, but I'd just like to hear what everybody is excited about today, and I'll start specifically in the crypto NFT blockchain space. For me, CJ mentioned it earlier on in the space, first few minutes. It's being able to use my NFTs to generate passive income, to loan out, to earn yield on. That is an area that I am very excited about because my bag's a little heavy. How about you, CJ?
I think that's a great point because right now we're starting to see like platforms that allow you to put an NFT up and then get collateral on that NFT. So boom, now you're cash liquid again, and then you can turn it in with a little bit of interest to get your NFT back. And that's really cool because it allows a lot of people in the NFT market are very almost 100% NFT bagged. Because a lot of people who came into crypto through the NFT space came in through NFTs. So it's a good way for those people to get some sort of liquidity at fair market value for their NFTs and then participate in decentralized ecosystems, staking, yield farming, all these other metrics. So honestly, I'm excited to start seeing more real world utility. I say quote unquote real world, but I mean like things like loans, mortgages, rents, these kind of ecosystem aspects for NFTs, because the NFT market really blew up this year, and obviously it's been a super hot topic, and everyone's heard of people making hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars off certain NFTs. Well, now if we want to see that keep moving in the right direction instead of just bubbling up and going under for another year or two, we need to keep innovating, right? We need to keep creating demand, and technology is the best way to do that. If you can have all sorts of new ways to use your NFTs, then people are going to be more inclined to own and purchase NFTs.
Exciting times. How about you, Bugsy? What are you pumped about?
I am pumped about the Solon DeFi audit. I am pumped about these spaces and getting to know and network. I mean, the amount of people I'm meeting is just blowing my mind right now. Very grateful to be connected with Thomas and Crypto Jesus in real life. We're a stone's throw away from each other. And I'm also excited for some things that have not been talked about yet that are going to be coming out shortly, and to get everyone here and all your friends and family involved with also. So excited for everything, and I'm excited for Christmas. Spending time with my family. Might take a day or two break from Twitter if I can, which is probably not going to happen. I say it will, but yeah, I'm just grateful for everything. Thank you everyone for coming. This is freaking awesome. So go ahead, whoever's next.
Papa Thomas.
Hey. So, I mean, I'm tied for something. Like I'm as equally like I love reflection tokens. It's no secret. Like I'm hugely pumped for the future of what RFI is doing with regard to their new token specification. I think that's really dope, and I think people should check that out. And like also NFTs in the non-fungible context. We talk a lot about NFTs and people making money on them, but we're not like, I think that there's I'm so hyped for true non-fungible uses, like in entertainment with NFTs, because you can have situations where game developers are reimbursed for the private sale of access to this game. This is something I spoke on back in 2018, because we saw this shit coming from a mile away, where entertainment and NFTs collide. So it's actual non-fungible NFTs. A lot of the NFTs that you see out there are liquid in a money context, but outside of that, DeFi is so much more than just. It was kind of funny as we talk about DeFi, it's so much more than just money. It's it's the uses of DeFi are also decentralized. So I'm very excited for both fungible and non-fungible NFTs, as ironic as that sounds. So I will pass the torch.
Bully might have taken a nap. Warrior.
Yeah, well, I just want to start by saying I'm grateful to share this space with everyone on the panel and everyone who's not on the panel. I'm also very grateful, as Thomas said, for like the future, right? The utility. I'm excited about what Crypto Jesus is doing as well. At the end of the day, I'm excited for Reaver, right? I mean, because we all have to push forward, and there are multiple industry verticals that need disruption right now, and it is a multi battlefront kind of revolution, but at the same time, excited to work with everyone on this panel to push forward, right? To be of help and hopefully to collaborate on a lot of the great things we have coming. I also want to say, I feel like I found kind of it's weird to say, but kind of Twitter brothers and sisters, right, over the past and obviously people over the past several weeks, for years. I mean, my first take into the metaverse and business plan was in 2014, and man, sometimes you just feel crazy, right, in that isolation. And I feel like over the past several weeks, I've migrated across the world, and in these spaces, kind of organically and in a weird sixth sense kind of way, come together with a group of people that have always been the right people, right? The right family. And I know that that's weird to say. I don't mean to be kind of like that sketchy person, but I'm really excited to build on these relationships, both in the Twitter spaces and in real life. And at the end of the day, to ensure that, I always say this, that even if I am a speck in what this revolution is, even if I am a speck, that I at least be the right spec, that if I'm going to push, that I at least push in the right spot. And everyone here is doing that. And I'm just excited about that fundamentally. Thank you.
Cheers. I love it. Crypto Hodler.
Yeah, so lots of things to be excited about, right? I think CJ said it, real world uses of NFTs to kind of accelerate that opportunity and that technology there. It's got a lot of buzz based on some art, and the art is awesome. It's amazing, right? But then also to kind of get that in different use cases to kind of get it past that and get that evolution moving forward. So that's exciting. The other thing, some of the basics for some of us here, it's basic now that there's farming and staking and reflections, etc. But I think that's exciting too, to talk to people who are not in the space yet, because it's an easy way to show the difference between this new way and the old way, right? The old way, it's a very simple way to explain. How much interest are you getting in your bank account right now? 0. And with inflation, maybe it's negative, right? In some ways, they're charging you for bonds. Some bonds are charging you money to hold that bond, right? So I think just excited about things like, crypto.com doing this big push to educate the masses starting on Christmas Day with the renaming of the basketball center, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to lift the whole space. As someone said earlier, whether you're a Bitcoiner or a safe mooner or whatever, you're still in this space, the macro space, and that's the whole space has to be lifted up. So that's exciting. And the last thing, to echo Warrior, I'm pumped about this community, right? So many people. I've been in spaces with, one of the biggest spaces I was in a while ago was when CJ and Thomas, I think, came together for their first space. It's called DeFi Explosion. And Ninja and I were DMing. Our minds were melting and we couldn't keep up. There was so much great stuff. But the willingness for these guys and gals and others, people like Shannon, et cetera, to get up here and share their ideas, help people, connect dots. Bugsy the connector, right? Bugsy's connecting everybody left and right for stuff to happen, And so, I just think I'm pumped about the community because there's a lot of great people who are very smart, but there's a lot of great hearts here. And you combine those two things and we really can change the world.
Let's fucking go. Exactly. Let's fucking go. Court, thanks for joining us. What are you excited about?
Hey, John. Good to be here. First and foremost, thank you all for the space. Thank you, John, for hosting. Thank you to all the speakers and all the folks that have come up and made contributions. I do have a question that I had beforehand, so I hope that folks are open to hearing it. But first and foremost, what am I excited about? I'm excited that Web3 seems to be like a 5-star buffet. Like there's just too much to be excited about. I can't name just one thing. If I had to name one thing, I would say the fact that it is revolutionizing finance. With my background in finance and the fact that traditional systems have traditionally supported certain groups and not other groups, I'm excited about the possibilities that exist before us. And so I'll use that as a quick segue to my question. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we hear from everybody else about what they're excited about. So I'll pause.
All right, we'll come back to you, Court. Thank you so much. Peter Bread, what are you pumped about, man?
I'm pumped about Solon taking off next year. I'm pumped about the people that are out here doing the education. I'm pumped about this thing called the blockchain gospel that is on the other side of the metaverse, hang out with on the Clubhouse side. I'm pumped about the arguments we are going to have with each other that are going to grow us because we're not going to agree. So I am really pumped about finding people who don't agree with me and figuring out how to have these conversations without tearing each other down and respecting each other.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Mr. Ben, what are you excited about?
Right now, I'm most excited about ZK rollups, and specifically EVM compatible ZK rollups, because there's this concept called the blockchain trilemma, which is 3 goals that every blockchain is striving for, and that is decentralization, security, and scalability. And right now, I feel like Ethereum, in my opinion, has perfected decentralization and scalability. So really the final step to bringing, NFTs, DAOs, cryptocurrencies, DeFi, whatever you're interested in, bring all those things to the general public. The last step is going to be scalability. And the way that we're going to do that is ZK rollups. So there's a lot of projects coming out soon, probably within a few months. And I'm excited to see how that changes the whole landscape.
Awesome. I want to pause on our run through the panel and just go up to Thomas. I saw your hand go up.
Hey, I just want to point out, you're not going to find a lot of people talking about snarks and ZK rollup. Can we get some follows and some hundreds for Ben here? Your boy's got 290 followers, and
that's the GOAT.
It's the GOAT, man.
Yeah, CJ, you want to pump Ben's bags real quick?
Of course I want to pump Ben's bags. So Ben, I met Ben because we were working at the same government contractor together, and we were working with X-Ray Tech. So I was pretty surprised when I first met Ben, but he was completely self-taught in everything he knew about coding. And when I first met Ben, he was 17 years old, working at this government contractor, basically right under the VP of software. And at first I was like, who the fuck is this kid? And then I met Ben. I got to know Ben. And then Ben fucking blew my mind. Ben's an absolute genius. They actually offered to pay his college tuition if he would stay there. But instead of doing that, he would much rather work on Solon and build this automated market maker. So Ben is one of the best developers I've ever met in any industry. He's completely self-taught, and basically he started reading some white papers in the beginning of 2021. And since then, he has become one of the best Solidity developers I have ever met in my entire life. So every day, Ben impresses me.
Thank you. Ben's a good follow. I want to throw it down to, let's continue our what are you excited about with Shannon?
Yeah. Hey, thanks. Yeah. The biggest thing I'm excited about is the decentralization and minimalization of like the finance and government areas, right? Where we're able to actually give the power back to the people financially. And then once we're able to prove that, we're going to be able to do it through government works. And, just the fact that we have so many smart people in the room today. I have, people across the industry. We had Zach earlier. We have Darcy here, who's, she's a big advocate for like eCoin and SafeMoon. Zach's cross industry. We've got Warrior here. CJ, Bugsy. I don't even know. We've got so many great people in this space right now. These are excellent talking points. And the thing that I'm excited about is that the people showed up to actually participate in a conversation that I really thought was just going to be the 4 or 5 of us, right? When we were talking last week about, where's our government going? Where's all of this, guys, started from like another call, and we just kind of morphed into it. I'm excited that I even know these speakers in this room now. I kind of know them all equally, but Ben, you're now on my radar, so I'm gonna follow you. I'll definitely cross check you. And CJ, you've been a beautiful light to everything, and I just love kind of hearing the political views of like what Warrior is talking about. And how it's a very exciting time. We have so many people, right, that are disenfranchised with the duopoly of the Republican or Democrats. And I don't care where you fall. I don't care who you align with. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care if you vote for me, if you live in North Carolina. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is that you feel like you're being represented, and that blockchain is the tool that is going to have you trust your government, your officials, your medical practices, and all of that in the future, right? Because I think so many times we've been lied to. We've had people get in here and take advantage of our trust. And you know what? They're not going to be able to do it with blockchain. We're going to be able to account for the people we want to account for. We can ignore the accounts that we want to offer blind trust to, which as a libertarian, I'm going to say it's 0. But, we can do all that together, whether we want to keep DOD in a black box or not, or if we want to see how much they're actually paying for a particular tank that we're going to leave over in Afghanistan for our enemies to use against us. So, I'm super excited where we're going, especially compared to where we've come from. We've come from a world of where only the privileged get to vote, and I would love it to be to where every U.S. citizen who has the right to vote can vote. And that is what excites me.
Thank you, sir. I just want to pause real quick and go up to Warrior. You had your hand up.
Yeah, thanks so much again. I just wanted to really be specific about a shout out here. There was a lot of FUD going around a couple, 2-3 weeks ago. Actually, no, what am I talking about? It's been like 6 weeks, but it feels, time is relative in these spaces. And I started realizing that there were people that were fighting the bullies alongside me, right? We were all fighting bullies together, and we were doing so in an objective manner with data, right? And I just want to give a shout out to Miguel, who preaches the crypto gospel all the time. Cited Ninja, who's out there like battling bullies, tearing them down with all of his insights into blockchain. I want to give a shout out to Incognito, who's always empathetic and trying to help people in spaces. We have a needless conversation space that I think we've run it 7 days straight at one point, with everybody just carrying the torch And it's not about a single community, a single army. It is about helping people that are coming into this arena understand the values that are driving communities, this vision, right, of DeFi and how it can be transformative, and then ultimately just making sure that we're creating a safe space for people in an environment that we all know can be treacherous at times. So I just want to give a shout out to them. Chris Vaughn, who's amazing, a savant in both his understanding and insights around technology and art. And the reason I bring them up, look, I have mad love for people who are in the spaces, but when we created Needless Conversations, it was a small group of us that came together, inspired to really help people and to grow as well in the arena. And yeah, just mad love to those guys. Francisco, you too.
Thanks, Warrior. As we continue on, I just want to remind folks that we have a giveaway going for a Solon NFT. If you scroll up to the pinned tweets, if you scroll over a few dots, you'll see a tweet from the Solon DeFi account. If you'd like to interact with that tweet and perhaps win one of the NFTs with a little bit of cryptocurrency attached. But now I want to jump down to Nelson. Nelson, you have a question, and what are you excited about?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So the thing is, right, I got a question in the end. I'm going to make it quick. I don't want to, take your guys' time. I love you guys for what you guys do. So obviously I'm excited about the blockchain, but I'm kind of in the beginning of it. It's very complex for me, very complex. So what I was interested before I bumped into Safe Moon and the blockchain, Shiba Inu and stuff like the decentralized world was, is there a God, nutrition and stuff like that? So I understand all of them complex things, but I don't understand the blockchain. Where in my personal question, in your opinion, where do I start and where do I go through the rabbit hole to actually get information to actually understand the blockchain on, let's just say, I don't know none of you guys like that, Thomas too, but Thomas is he's like when he talks, he's on a different level of me. Where do I start and where do I almost end information of what the blockchain is?
So I personally think a really good spot, although it's an interesting source, is Binance Academy. They make a lot of really cool animated videos to explain things, and then they do write-ups and everything intertwined. You may be able to find some good videos on YouTube, but this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is there's so many things with bias or that are just flat out incorrect that are related to blockchain and cryptocurrency that you'll find on YouTube or if you Google.
Yep.
I think Binance Academy is honestly a great place in my opinion.
All right, cool. I appreciate that. And the co-host, where did you begin of your information? How you got into the blockchain and NFT world?
I'll answer. So I was paid in cryptocurrency in Ethereum about 4 years ago to do a catering job. Actually, I was a chef for 15 years, and one of my former employees needed some help, and he didn't have any money, but he did have crypto, so he paid me 3 Ethereum. At the time, Ethereum was about $48, and that was kind of my entryway. That got me just curious and reading about blockchain, asking a lot of questions. And I got to be honest, a lot of stuff still doesn't entirely connect. But being in spaces like this, listening to the terminology, listening to the other projects that are being referenced, like we always say at the beginning of the space, have a pen and pad and write things down. Words, concepts, websites, projects, and just it's a lot of reading, man. A lot of reading and digesting. Ben, you had a follow up, I think, to what CJ was saying.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you're interested in knowing more about the technical side of how blockchain works, there's a really great series on YouTube by someone called 3 Blue 1 Brown. So if you Google that, that's 3 Blue 1 Brown.
Sorry, my fault.
Three blue, 1 down, you said?
1 brown. Ben, you should tweet it out.
I'll tweet it out. But
Sorry, can you repeat it? I didn't hear the when you said it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's 3 blue, 1 brown. I'll send out a tweet and share it in the space. But
So 3 blue, 1 brown.
yes.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
No problem.
We'll go up to Thomas really quick and then down to you, Court.
Hey there. So what I would suggest to anyone who's trying to become more familiar with Bitcoin is that the Bitcoin white paper, I believe it's bitcoin.org/bitcoin.pdf. It's one of the most pivotal documents. It's a 9-page thing. You don't have to go too deep on the math, but at the end of the day, it's a network of peers that share a ledger. And there's some validation along the way too. But definitely check out the Bitcoin white paper. And then when you're feeling a little bit more ambitious, check out the Ethereum white paper after. It's a good primer on all of these other really cool resources people mentioned.
Thank you. Court, what do you got?
Okay, so going back to my question, and thank you again to everybody in the room who just commented, because I want to, as a follow-up to some of those, first of all, guys, I would be remiss if I didn't at least attempt, as a member of a few marginalized communities. We have a couple of candidates for political office here, so just in this conversation today, we've touched on a lot of issues, socioeconomic issues. And, there are a lot of people who believe that blockchain can actually fix poverty. And I know even moments ago, Shannon mentioned that, generally speaking, those folks who vote are typically have greater resources than those who don't, and we want to get greater representation. But what I've found just over the course of life is that a lot of people don't even believe that their vote matters and that their vote will count. And so I understand theoretically that blockchain can fix that, and we've touched on those topics as well. But because of misinformation and FUD and propaganda and other systems that are in place, these things are keeping people from participating in the system at all. So it's not just that their votes aren't being counted or that these people aren't necessarily being represented, they don't even know. So unfortunately, right now, for all of the things that we're excited about, we're excited because we are here. And there are a lot of us who are working really hard at our own individual projects, but we're not spending time in the communities. I mean, some of us are, a lot of us are. So, no slight to anybody, but, we just, this message is not, the message and the power of blockchain technology is not being propagated in the right places. And my question, I guess, is how do we fix that part? How do we get to a place where we're actually disseminating information amongst all of the people? And that just is not just here in the United States, but across the world. How do we get more people engaged, involved, to even understand? Because unfortunately, a lot of people think that, they're still thinking that it's a scam or that it's not real or what have you. And it's so much more than cryptocurrency. I mean, if you look at television now, we're seeing a lot of ads from crypto related companies, but there's so much more to blockchain than just crypto and cryptocurrency, that is. And I'm just curious to know you guys' thoughts on how we can address that element of a problem.
I'd love to take a swing.
Yeah, please do.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I've grown as an organizer over the years because I've been, I've been able to stand alongside organizers that have been doing the work for 40 plus years, right? And that work is partly activism and sharing information and insights that would activate people to get involved in the political process or even legislative process. But also another side of it is just the organizing itself, right? Like how do you get people that have 2 or 3 jobs that are stuck in this poverty trap, which is minimum wage, which pretty much puts people in position to have 2 or 3 jobs and still, they're scared of a single medical bill pushing them back into a state where they wouldn't be able to pay for the next car payment or pay rent. And, I think it really comes down to infiltration of the systems with this information. And so I think that the key area is education. If we look at education funding formulas across the country, there are different models. There's no real standardization. And one of the problems with that is that when we start talking about after school programs, when we start talking about civic service, when we start talking about what it means to build up the next generation and to give them this knowledge, right, so that they can carry forth and become those 17-year-olds like Ben that are changing the world, there isn't a mechanism to support the building out of those programs. And so from my perspective, it's like, if they're not going to give it to us, how do we take it? And from a programmatic standpoint, I think really healthcare can play a part in this. We have a lot of mental health resource needs in schools. We have movements across the country saying, counselors and not cops. And yet the mechanism to provide more mental health counseling is to integrate a funding mechanism into schools to make sure that those kids can have those counselors. And one of the discussions today is how to do it cheaply. Like, do they embed telemedicine, right, as an example? And so here's my point. My point is, like, if they're going to do something that they consider patchwork, can we programmatically embed a technology in a space utilizing blockchain that will inform and empower the next generation that's using that technology for the purpose of supporting mental health to now be empowered with an instrument that they can use for something else? Like, how do we do that? How do we get into people's homes? Because as an organizer, that's the hardest part. The hardest part is organizing a movement around homelessness, knowing that most people are trying not to be homeless and may not have time to stand in front of a bulldozer that's trying to take down a homeless encampment. Now, those of us that are there will stand there even if we're the only two. But I hate to kind of bring it too political, but that's my point, Court. Like, it is about organizing and it is about activism, and both of those things are different. And programmatically, if we want blockchain to activate people and if we want to organize people around blockchain, we need to start talking about the next 7 generations and the education systems that are providing them with either an idea of what's going on or entrapping them in a colonized mindset that prohibits them from thinking outside the box.
Wow, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, great listening to your reply there, Warrior. I want to go down to RBUSD and continue. RBUSD, thanks for coming up. What are you excited about? And I do see you all with your hands up. We'll get to you.
So as far as like the blockchain goes, I see a lot of really, really, really interesting moves occurring in like automated ledger technology, in regards to like what would you call it? Like the process of distribution and the process of keeping track of things, right? So like in the medical field, like ledger technology is starting to be used to keep track of different pharmaceuticals and things like that. And that is super exciting. Just because in that industry there is a wide variety of theft, right? When you have like a full-on ledger system to keep track of like different medications, things like that, things that can't be altered, things that can't be changed, right? It begins to put a lot less of these, let's say, very addictive and harmful substances out on the street because theft becomes lower. And I think that is a great catalyst for change in the whole world that can be fueled by blockchain as a whole. And then I'm really, really excited about just the people that are in this space, the people that are making the difference. I grew up without a lot, and because of certain people in this space, I mean, people are able to take control of their life. They're able to get their time back, and they're able to sit in a Twitter space and just listen along and chat because they've unlocked a new level of freedom they didn't have previously. So I'm super excited about that.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Go ahead, Bugsy. Go ahead.
Hey, is Bully active or no? If not, can we drop him down and maybe get Shannon back up here?
Bully, you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I literally just got off of a phone call.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
I was onboarding like one of my ex-business partners into like NFTs and shit. So like I was hearing you guys in the background. He was hearing you guys in the background. So I was just like, doing
So he
that.
was
But we just
bullish, is
got,
what you're
yeah, he's
saying.
bullish as fuck.
So
Like,
bully.
so what he does, right, is like he runs a company that what they do is like market and brand, like, a lot of the big companies in clothing and stuff. And like he specializes in like AR development and VR development and stuff. He works with Instagram, Snapchat, and those. So I was just like, telling him, like, he was very scared that like he can't come in the space and do the same stuff that he does. And I'm just like, bro, like, you can do the exact same shit. It's just like we're just fucking with cryptocurrency here. Like, you can do
Oh,
the same
bro.
thing, bro.
People
Like,
love AR for their NFTs. Are you kidding me?
that's what I'm
People be
saying.
paying mad to have their ape turned into an AI version.
I just had to explain that to him just now. That
Well,
no
so
one
what's
really
the
has, like, you know, AR on IG and Snapchat and stuff. I think Doodles does, though, actually, right?
Yeah,
If
they
I'm not
do.
mistaken. Yeah.
They have a partnership with Snapchat actually.
So let's throw it at you, Bully. What are you excited about, man?
What am I excited about? I'm really excited about like the next coming wave of honestly, like, shitcoins with crazy tokenomics. That's what I'm most bullish on.
Ponzi's?
Yes. Just the tokenomics, man. It's just the fact that, like, people are constantly creating new, like, and innovative ways to like build smart contracts, man. And it's just wonderful to see like the different combinations of stuff and like how things play out with like market and like participants and things of that nature, man. It's beautiful to watch, right? Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna be buying any, but I'm definitely here for the innovative tech. And I'm most bullish on Solon next year, right? Like, I'm gonna be top hedge fund.
Hell yeah. Let's see, Hodl Vault, Jeremy, what you got, man?
So I'll say one. I mean, it's just amazing conversations you guys are having, and when you talk about excited, not here to try to plug too much, but it's great. We just launched the token 14 days ago, and talk about Thomas, you were talking in regards to the reflections. We have 8% BUSD. Education. We have amazing education that we're looking at doing. We're bringing in a Hodl Vault University here soon through YouTube and some other mediums as well, and bringing in a platform to have new emerging cryptocurrencies being listed, but that are as secure as we can get them, and vetting and all those pieces. So just amazing what our company is looking at doing and coming in, hearing from all of you guys of what you guys are wanting to do. I just I'm excited to what 2022 and beyond is going to bring us in the DeFi space, and what all of us can do to just make this a better world for everybody.
Thank you, Thomas.
Hey, did you say reflections?
I did. I did. Yes, Thomas. I said reflections. 8% BUSD reflections. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to ape in now.
Literally same. I was just talking about these.
It's awesome. And you talk about the smart contracts and the crazy things you could do. I go between 3 different developers and kind of bounce ideas off of them. I have them all throughout the world. To talk with and go, how about this? Well, can we create this? Can we do that? We have people who are coming to us saying, hey, I have this idea. And so I message them saying, hey, can we do this? You look at the reflections and some of the different things. I'm telling people, ask the devs also these tough questions in regards to how does this work on the back end? I'm telling my community, because I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders, I'm telling my community of saying, hey, ask the questions how this works. When I'm telling you I'm doing a burn, you're seeing it on the contract occurring. What are you looking for? When you're seeing me, make a change, what do you see? What's happening? When you're going, why am I not getting my reflections? How to go and track that? We have an amazing calculator we just brought out. You can look at your reflections now, and you can also go, hey, what if we have 1 trillion tokens? We have our volume here. What does that look like? And oh my goodness, I'm gonna make more than I made on SafeMoon. It's gonna be awesome. Doing that. But training people, bringing people in, and they can then be that next generation. My 3-year-old daughter, she turned 3 today. She has 710 billion of our tokens in a wallet sitting there with her right now. Imagine what it's going to be worth in a year. It's my 3-year-old. So
Bugsy.
Thank you for that whole vault, Jeremy. No, I just, aside from, unless did you have something else to say there, Hodl or no?
no, I don't.
All right.
I'll go ahead and step down as a listener. Thank
No,
you.
you're good.
I got
You're
a
good.
question for you, Hodl. So, you do have these reflections, and reflections are really cool, and they can be very cool, especially if you even include a curve based on, you know, the total number of tokens in someone's balance, assuming that they can't afford to purchase as many initially. It's also cool because it incentivizes getting in early, but at the end of the day, your reflections are going to be based off volume, right? People swapping one cryptocurrency to purchase your cryptocurrency or to sell it. So why would someone buy your cryptocurrency other than reflections, right? Because I'm just curious, what sort of value proposition do you have?
So, one, yes, you are absolutely correct. It is based on volume. And so you are bringing that volume is what you're going to do from your the BUSD reward. But it's also, what are we providing to the community? I talked about that, the Huddle Vault University. So that training we're going to bring to folks, and educate those people. More importantly is our platform that we're bringing up.
Do they pay in HODL Vault token to have access to these educational resources, or why does HODL Vault token have value?
So in regards to the university piece, some of it will be through payment. Others, a lot of it will be free because we want to educate folks. The other piece is our listing platform of bringing in new emerging cryptocurrencies that are, vetted, that are more secure, that community driven, to actually go through those AMAs and go through all those pieces of it. Having that platform for a central place to go, and having those folks who are, who've gone through a more rigorous process than right now, where a lot of times they just go and launch a cryptocurrency, and you hope and pray that they aren't rug pulled.
So I get that they can go there, but what does it have to do with your cryptocurrency? Does, in exchange for coming onto your platform and getting exposure, do they give you like a percent of their cryptocurrency, and then your cryptocurrency is backed by that, or what does it have to do with it?
And that will be part of it. We're still really new on this, but that will be part of it. Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. Yeah, if anyone, this is like a personal policy of mine. If anyone ever comes up to talk about any cryptocurrency, I'm gonna ask all the hard questions. I mean, you made a point of it yourself, right? You should ask the hard questions, and I'm all for that.
Absolutely. And I will say, we are extremely 100% transparent. And if I don't know the answer to it, I will find out, and I will let you know what that answer is.
Thank you.
Court.
Selfish question. Is that okay?
Of
From
course.
you, duh.
All right. So Solon drops in July. I'm kind of curious about what's happening right now. I think there are a lot of people. We have 140 people in the room, I know, but I'm curious to know a little bit more about what's happening today in Solon and what we can do to support. I'm super bullish on the project, but also working on a lot of different things. So just curious, since we have a couple of folks here representing Solon.
So as far as what's going on today, we've gotten, most of the math, well, all of the math and just about every difficult part of everything worked out. Ben's actually working on the core contract right now. And then I'll drop some sneak peek images in the Discord right now of what the hardware wallet's going to look like. I'm going to drop some images from the file. So you can see what that looks like. The first prototype was just completed. I'm supposed to be getting my hands on it this week. Hopefully, I actually do get my hands on it this week. But I've seen it. I've seen videos. I've seen images. But I'll drop all the sketches in the Discord right now, and then Ben can give any comments on the progress of the core contract.
Yeah. So I'm working on the automated market maker right now. We got all the math worked out for how we're going to mitigate impermanent loss and everything. So now it's just a matter of implementing that in Solidity.
Thanks, Ben. Bugsy, I see your hand there, sir.
Yeah, no, I really want, because you went around the room and asked what everyone was not just grateful for, but excited about. I just want to give a shout out to two people that really mean a lot to me in the space, and that's Don't Hate Celebrate. I've seen you down there the whole time. I don't know if you want to come up and say anything, but also Ninja Seda. I'd love to see you up here too, Seda Ninja. If you'd come up and talk, that would be great. Thank you.
Cheers. We are getting close to our end time. We're approaching 3 o'clock. I just added you, Dread Roberts. Welcome to the stage. What we were doing was kind of going around to all the speakers and just asking in general, what are you pumped about? What are you excited about in the crypto NFT blockchain space? Dread Roberts.
Hi.
Hi there, I can hear you.
Did I press the request button?
Yes, you did.
So that was actually my cat. That was a complete accident.
That is the best excuse I have ever heard.
I swear to God, it was actually my cat. I know this is crazy, but it really was. No, I'm excited about a lot. I'm usually just listening, but I'm mostly excited about NFTs. I'm still into crypto projects and whatnot, but NFTs are. Sorry, I kicked something, but I'm actually just really excited about NFTs and creating different art pieces and seeing what other creative people can do. And that's about all I've got because this was an accident.
Can we get your cat to ask a question too?
Sure.
Oreo.
Yo. Yo, Bully,
Yep,
you gotta respond to that.
Oreo. Sorry about that, guys.
Yo, thank you for coming up.
Hey,
Yeah, no,
hey.
thank you.
Before he gets down, can we get a bunch of hundreds? It's his birthday.
Oh.
Happy birthday, man.
Oh my God. Well, thanks, Thomas. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And I'm a December baby too. We're coming in strong here at the end of the year.
Yeah, Sagittarius for
Capricorn,
right.
Capricorn season. John, you gotta tell us when your birthday
I appreciate
is.
it. I'll step down now.
My birthday is the 24th.
Oh my God, perfect. My brother is the 25th and my
Wow.
mom's the 21st.
Nice.
Congrats, guys. Happy birthday to everybody that I miss.
My wife
Happy
is the
birthday.
27th, so we're just all about it.
Mine's the 25th.
Let's go, Court.
Damn.
The worst day to have a birthday. I don't have a birthday.
Whatever, Bully.
Well, this has been awesome, guys. And unless somebody has something else they'd like to share with the room, I'm going to go ahead and close it down. I posted the link to the Solon Discord up top. And there's a few other fun tweets that you can browse really quick until we close down here. But other than that, just thank you, everybody, for coming. Bugsy, go ahead.
John, I think Ninja got rugged. I really would like to get him up here. He is a huge supporter of ours and does a lot for Solon, does a lot for Thomas and myself. If he comes back, I see Miguel's down here too. Miguel just requested. I just want to hear what they're grateful for before we close this, please. That would be awesome.
Yeah. No worries.
Miguel's coming up.
Yeah. And no pressure to stay, anybody. If you need to take off, hey, we all have lives and we gotta be about it. So Miguel, welcome to the stage. What are you excited about?
First of all, thank you for an amazing space to everybody up here on the panel. You guys are doing a beautiful thing for DeFi. What I'm excited about is DeFi as a whole, as a movement and as a message. And just to circle back to a comment that was made earlier about how we get this message out, every great movement in history began with a single individual who looked at a problem and said, what can I do to change this? What can I do to make a difference? So the I is what is important. As long as we're sitting here saying, what can we do? Then we're looking outside of ourselves, and it starts at home. Start teaching your children. If you don't have children, teach your nieces and nephews about crypto and about DeFi. Pass the message as an individual. We've all heard about the butterfly effect. That begins with one butterfly. not a whole flock of them, with one butterfly who flaps his wings. You never know. You can be that butterfly that flaps your wings and begins a tsunami that is DeFi awareness. So start with I. Look around the people around you and say, what can I do to change these people's perspective? And what can I do to educate these people so that I can make a difference? And therefore start this movement. Maybe that child that you teach is the next Vitalik. Maybe that child that you teach is the next Elon. You never know. And you'll never know unless you look at yourself and say, what can I do to change and make a difference? Thanks, guys. I love you all, and I love what you guys are doing for DeFi.
I'm sorry.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to break in. And I usually, I mean, I know I can be a little emotional at times, but I just want to say thank you, Miguel, for that comment. And, you know, I guess I was a little shy to say earlier. I know John had mentioned something about being overwhelmed. He used the term overwhelmed. And it really resonated with me because I was sharing with my godson last night, like you're if you really want to make it, you're going to have to give up a lot of things. And I truly, for a person who loves to sleep, I haven't slept in months. I mean, I haven't slept a long time, like maybe 4 hours a night, because I'm working and I'm working with every single individual that I come in contact with. And I'm digging deep and reaching out to people that I haven't talked to in years, because this is such an incredible moment in our lives. And I think I heard somebody yesterday or a day before saying that, you know, when the previous revolutions happened, when the internet first came to be and Web 2 first came to be, maybe we were too young or too ignorant to understand how to leverage it. But now that I'm aware, I'm doing everything that I can. And so thank you for that comment, Miguel. Thank you to everybody who's here and also working tirelessly to make this happen.
Ninja, it looks like
Love
we
you,
finally
Court.
got you up here.
Thank you, Court.
I really don't know where to start. I'm freaking nervous right now and excited
You're
about
closing the
Okay,
space.
GM
John,
Ninja,
first of all,
You're
GM.
closing it. Do it.
thank you so much, guys, for hosting the space. This was a fucking amazing space. It's been exciting the whole entire time. Bugsy, bro, I love you. You're my boy. CJ, shit, man, you keep blowing my mind every time I come. Ben, where the fuck have you been, bro? What? Proof
Bro,
of
Ben's the GOAT.
humanity? What the fuck is proof of human? I started Googling it right away. I started
Ninja,
Googling it. What the
Ben
fuck
is
is
the
that shit?
CTO of Solon, bro.
Bro. Ben, bro, I finally found the answer, bro. But hold on. I still have a question for all of you
Ben
guys.
lives on
Miguel,
chain.
bro, thank you so much, bro, for that. That was beautiful, man. Warrior, Thomas, I'm always starstruck when I see you in a space, man. All right, here's the quick question. Here's the quick question that I wanna ask. You know, when it comes to DAOs, and we were talking about, you know, maybe a power structure could probably sway a certain decision or buy votes or stuff like that. You know, when Ben mentioned proof of humanity, I was like, all right, this is probably part of the solution. But wait a minute, I have a question about decentralization. Now, does anonymity, you know, being anonymous, is that part of decentralization? Because if I'm anonymous and I'm malicious and nobody can know or find me, or you know, how do you track a person like that who's malicious in a decentralized space? It does does decentralization mean anonymity? So that's the question. I love all of you guys, man. I fucking love you guys. Anybody can answer this. But Thomas, thank you so much for being here, man. CJ, thank you. John, Shannon, Miguel, Warrior, Ben, all of you guys, man. Thank you so much for this, man. I love you guys.
Thomas, you're up, man.
Alrighty. So largely, and even with privacy coins, it's all pseudonymous. It's not full anonymity. There's a public and a private key in a lot of cases. In some cases, there's even a view key, which is, kind of harkens back to our other discussions about how is it that we can fully control medical data by controlling who can see it in the first place. So
when it comes down to tracking malicious actors, these on a lot of the chains, you can follow these transactions back. There are huge initiatives within defense contractors and things like that. I'm sure everyone heard about the infamous IRS contract looking into Monero. I like Monero. So it's not to, but just to bring up like how to track bad actors in the space. It's the pseudonymity. It comes with a tracking that you can follow back the transactions back to their genesis when they were created. And when you look at people who are washing money and acting poorly in the space, you can follow that back to where they exit. So, and largely through some of the research that I've done on public exchanges, what data is available, things like that, you're going to find that most of the exchanges out there that are liquid enough to exit a hacker's funds, they're all KYC'd. And, and then OTC today is a very different landscape than it used to be. So I'm starting to fade, guys. I'm losing my gas, but at the end of the day, it's not true anonymity. It's pseudonymity. It's our identities remain intact, and our actions are logged. And in this way, we can prevent corruption and move towards that kind of utopian economic society that we're kind of pushing towards.
Thank you, Thomas.
That was an amazing answer. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much.
That was beautifully said. I just want to add, like, some layer of pseudo-anonymity is pretty important in this space, and I think in any space, because it goes back to the whole thing that we're talking about before, like so many people that have experienced, corruption or racism or any other form of discrimination or mistreatment it's largely been because of how someone looks or what you know about them or maybe how they sound, et cetera, et cetera. And when you're just an address, that aspect is completely removed. And it gives hope, it paves the way for the possibility of never having to worry about the color of your skin in a complete financial sector, in a full-time job. We're just starting to see people work in DeFi and work in cryptocurrency and NFTs as their full-time jobs. Like, I mean, for the most part, this was impossible until 2017.
All right, so we're going to end up closing this space down. I know everyone's got a lot of stuff going on. I really thank everyone for coming here. I saw an opportunity to get these people together, and I took it. And I think it turned out very well for the community, for DeFi, for politics, for everybody here to learn something new and be involved. And I know everyone's tired. It's been 4 hours. I don't know what we're doing with the giveaway. CJ's going to have to answer that. But
it just ends after 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Can everyone give 100 for Bugsy and John, though? Can we all throw up hundreds for Bugsy and John?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. John, thank you for hosting this. I would never choose anyone else to host one of these spaces. You are the Morgan Freeman of Twitter Spaces, and I appreciate everything you do to hold it down. Thank you, John.
Zay Wataneo. Corpy, I'm going to ask you, we're going to shut it down, but Corpy, what are you excited about in the space right now?
And everyone go follow Corpy also.
To be back on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter rugged him. Go follow
Twitter
him.
rugged me. I didn't want to speak. But NFT and DeFi play to earn games.
There you go. Play to earn games. Everybody, thank you so much for being with us. Go ahead and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I really appreciate everybody's time. I'm going to end this space in 3, 2, ciao.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Yo, love
Thanks,
you all.
Ron.
Love you all.
Thank you. Love you too, Bully. Bye, Bugsy. Thank you for putting this together. Thanks for coming, Papa Warrior. Ben, it's great to have you in a space as always. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.